Chapter 64. The parrot's glib tongue left leisure in a daze. What's snow phoenix? What's surrender? He was at a loss. I'm a divine bird. Do you believe me when I say that? The parrot's bright light flashed. Its round body leaned against the mountaintop as it said with a devilish smile. Leisure's handsome face showed a hint of curiosity. He held his sword and floated in the air, flapping his wings continuously. He was becoming more and more interested in the parrot. He didn't think that the parrot was just trying to trick him. You don't believe me? I can predict that within 100 miles to the west, there will be a large amount of spirit herbs. Young man, your opportunity has arrived. The parrot had a mysterious look, pretending to be unfathomable. Yi Qinghan had just killed 4 members of the Blood Fiends and taken away their Qian Kuan rings. He had collected a large amount of spirit crystals. Although most of them were low-grade, there were at least millions of low-grade spirit crystals in the Qian Kuan rings of the Bitter Sea stage. There were also more than 10,000 middle-grade spirit crystals. Yi Qinghan took them all and prepared to go deeper into the forest to find the parrot. The true energy in his body suddenly became restless, and his expression changed. Not good, I can't suppress it, I'm going to break through to the Bitter Sea stage. Yi Qinghan frowned, looking deep into the forest. He was worried about the parrot's safety. Yi Qinghan wanted to save the parrot, but the restless true energy was roaring. If he didn't break through now, he might not be able to overcome his inner demons. Just as Yi Qinghan was worried about the unreliable parrot, the parrot was wandering around the forest with Xian Wuyu. Boom, boom, boom. The true energy was like the yellow river bursting its banks, uncontrollable. Chaotic images appeared in the depths of his consciousness, messing up his memories. The ruthless demon slaughtered Xiao Zhanxing, 1 man and 1 blade in a group of revered martial artists, fighting for a chance to live. Yi Qinghan, hand over the divine martial imperial codex and I'll spare your life. Emperor Ye's face was ferocious. He raised his sword and looked at the Yi family. Qinghan, save us. 7th uncle, I don't want to die. The members of the Yi family were filled with despair and fear. They looked at the desolate Yi Qinghan with resentment and hatred. Some even began to curse Yi Qinghan. For the sake of the divine martial imperial codex, you don't even want the Yi clan? You selfish, despicable person. How many people have died under your blade? There's no one like you in the Yi family. You don't deserve to be my son. Yi Qinghan's father pointed at Yi Qinghan's nose and scolded him. He did not pity Yi Qinghan at all for the Yi family. Yi Qinghan's expression darkened. The destruction of the Yi clan was indeed closely related to him. This heart demon was a hurdle that he could not overcome. His long saber slammed into the ground with a loud rumble, piercing into the ground. A cold and arrogant aura filled the air as his black hair fluttered in the wind. The bleak figure of Yi Qinghan stood proudly in the fierce wind. He looked up to the sky and let out a long howl. His weathered figure was filled with sorrow and regret. You're not my brother. You killed my brother. I hate you. The immature Yi Mengshi pointed at Yi Qinghan and angrily accused him. This caused Yi Qinghan's body to tremble. You killed my son. Why don't you go and die? Wang Shi's face was malevolent and filled with hatred. She stared at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan seemed to have fallen into hell. He was surrounded by countless members of the Yi clan and Yi Mengshi, cursing and condemning him. His breathing became hurried and his face turned pale. I'm sorry. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse. He half knelt on the ground and held onto his heavy berserk saber. His eyes were bleeding. Amitba. Yi Qinghan, these people died because of you. You're full of sins and only death can wash away your sins. Let this old man convert you. Azura Qian Ye's Buddhist aura shone brightly and his Buddhist nature radiated in all directions. His monastic robe emitted a golden light and his majesty overflowed the heavens. Yi Qinghan, who had experienced countless inner demons for hundreds of years, naturally had to bear more than the average person. There was this life and the previous life. If he could withstand it, the path ahead would be clear. If he couldn't, there was only one path, and that was hell. Give up resisting. Use death to wash away your sins. Come down and accompany us. Countless resentful spirits roared and rushed out from the depths of hell to grab Yi Qinghan. Demonic energy filled the sky and rushed into the clouds. Yi Qinghan's legs were as heavy as lead. It was extremely difficult to move even a single step. Just inner demons. How can you block my path? Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. My heart is like a boulder. Even if the heavens collapse and the earth rends, my heart will not be disturbed. Life will be reborn, death will also be reborn. Yi Qinghan sat cross-legged on the ground and put his palms together. He removed all distracting thoughts and was unwilling to crush the spirits on the battle owl star. The sky was high and the clouds were scattered. The wind blew the flowers up and the maple leaves covered the void. The earth was pitch black as a terrifying pressure engulfed the entire fire cloud city. The Grotto Heaven Realm experts stood on the city walls and looked over with their brows tightly knitted. His hair draped over his shoulders and fluttered in the wind, covering his devilish face. His jade-like face was covered by a haze. No matter how strong his mind was, he couldn't bear the criticism and curses of his most beloved. His most beloved father, mother, sister that he loved dearly, and his only family in this life, Yi Mingxi and Wang Shi, no one could understand him. They all treated him as a murderer. These are all illusions. Inner demons, I shouldn't be addicted to this. I have a clear conscience for what happened back then. In this life, I didn't kill that child. I inherited his body and helped him take revenge. I helped him take care of his family. I didn't do anything wrong. Yi Qinghan lowered his head and muttered to himself. His iron fist clenched the heavy berserk saber tightly. He suddenly opened his eyes and shot out a sky-splitting intent. Roared out with an angry roar, Yi Qinghan pulled out his saber. His divine sense rushed out in all directions and suppressed countless resentful spirits. No matter how the resentful spirits screamed and cursed, they couldn't stop Yi Qinghan's firm Tao heart. Life is death, death is life. 10,000 demons can't stop my Tao heart. If the mountains and rivers are broken, I will create a new world and rebuild the 9th grade divine dynasty. Boomed out with a slash of the saber, the demonic qi dispersed. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and disappeared into the night. What a bolt of lightning fell from the sky and crashed into a lone mountain. The top of the mountain was shaved off by several feet. Flames roared and thousands of beasts ran wildly. Nangong Shenfeng stood in the sky above Fire Cloud City. When he saw Yi Qinghan instantly vanish without a trace, a strange light flashed in his eyes. Such fast speed. He has just broken through to the Bitter Sea stage and overcome his inner demons, but he has such battle strength. I'm afraid that Lu Outyin and Xian Wuyu may not be his match. What? You want to take in a disciple? A figure walked in the air. Another Grotto Heaven Realm expert had appeared. Facing Nangong Shenfeng, he didn't feel the slightest pressure. It could be seen that his battle strength was at the second step of the Grotto Heaven Realm, the Heaven Dance Realm. Third Xing, I didn't expect you to come. It seems that the auction house is plotting something big this time. Nangong Shenfeng said in a low voice as he looked indifferently at the newcomer. I'm not a big deal. I heard that someone at the third step of the Grotto Heaven Realm has also come. It's just that he hasn't shown himself yet. Third Xing was a vigorous middle-aged man in his 40s. He wore a green robe and his handsome face was incomparably dignified. A Hidden Dragon Realm expert also wants to participate? A Heaven Hook Realm expert at the fourth step won't appear in a few days, right? Nangong Shenfeng was taken aback and his eyes turned serious. As far as I know, the patriarch of the Qin family is likely to appear, but I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse for Lulon this time. Third Xing smiled mysteriously and said in a low voice. The Blood Fiend has lost 4 people this time. I don't know if this frightening organization will send an assassin at the 7th star of the Bitter Sea realm or above. It has nothing to do with me. Now that the Qin family has said that they want to protect Yi Qinghan, we won't participate. We'll sit and watch the Qin family and the Blood Fiend fight. Whoever wins or loses has nothing to do with us. The 2 experts of the Grotto Heaven realm discussed in a low voice, but their eyes were fixed on the depths of the forest. Yi Qinghan had not returned, so he must be comprehending his realm. In the depths of the forest, the parrot stood on Xian Wuyu's shoulder with its head held high. It pointed at a cliff and said, "Young man, this divine bird has fate with you. I'll give you a few pointers. There are at least dozens of spirit crystals worth of elixirs at the bottom of this cliff." Xian Wuyu was fooled by the parrot. It pointed out 4 or 5 places where high-grade elixirs were hidden, all of which were worth dozens of spirit crystals. This made him incomparably shocked. Some places were strange. Ordinary people would not be able to predict them. How did this parrot do it? Could it predict? Divine bird, you can really predict? Can you predict the future? Xian Wuyu jumped down the cliff and found a large number of second-grade and third-grade spirit herbs and elixirs. They were priceless. He believed the parrot's words without a doubt. Of course, this divine bird can predict the future and seize the opportunities below. As long as you follow me, I can guarantee that you will have a smooth journey. In the future, you will become a supreme Tao sovereign. The parrot said arrogantly. Xian Wuyu put away the herbs and looked at the parrot on his shoulder. His eyes flashed as if he was thinking about something. The parrot saw that Xian Wuyu had other thoughts. It was afraid that it could not intimidate him, so it quickly added another strong medicine. "Young man, this divine bird can see that your glabella is turning dark. Soon, a great disaster will come. If you are willing to listen to this divine bird, you may be able to turn the danger into safety. You may even be able to turn it into a great opportunity." The parrot was incomparably dignified as it spoke seriously. When Xian Wuyu heard this, he was shocked. His master, Shi Feng, had also warned him that this journey of opportunity and disaster coexisted. If he could handle it well, he would have a great fortune. If he could not handle it well, a great disaster would befall him. These words coincided with the parrot's words. "Divine bird, please give me a few pointers." Xian Wuyu bowed slightly and humbly asked for advice. The parrot looked at him like a senior looking at a junior. It nodded and said, "Not bad. Young man, you have a bright future ahead of you. This divine bird will give you a few pointers." Xian Wuyu looked at the parrot seriously, as if he had been fooled by the parrot. He was waiting for the parrot to speak. "Your opportunity lies with Yi Qinghan. He is a man of great fortune. Those who follow him will live. Those who do not will perish. In the worst case, their souls will be destroyed. This is all I have to say. You will understand in the future," the parrot said in a deep voice. When it mentioned Yi Qinghan, Xian Wuyu's eyes flashed. He stared at the parrot and realized why he had chased after it. The parrot saw that Xian Wuyu was staring at it, and thought to itself, "Fuck. Why did I mention that jinx? He hasn't come looking for me. This bastard is even more unreliable than I am." "What? You don't believe me? Do you think I am Yi Qinghan's spirit pet? That's ridiculous. I am a divine bird. Why would I want to be someone's spirit pet? I just want to freeload some good fortune." The parrot was afraid that Xian Wuyu would doubt it, so it immediately explained. Chapter 65. In the east, the setting sun illuminated the maple forest. Yi Qinghan was hiding on a lone mountain. Around him were middle-class spirit crystals. The spirit-gathering formation automatically absorbed spirit energy, pushing it into his body. All the pores on his body opened, and the spirit energy tempered his body. At this moment, Yi Qinghan's body was extremely strong. It was like a divine weapon, invulnerable to swords and spears, impervious to fire and water. The hostility in his eyes gradually dissipated, and his entire body emitted an aura of righteousness, adding to his divinity. His skin was glossy, full of spirit energy, and filled with a murderous aura. The first ray of sunlight in the morning shone on Yi Qinghan's face. His vigorous face was even more captivating. After passing the bitter sea stage, Yi Qinghan's temperament became even more enchanting. It was like the sun, making people unable to open their eyes. It was also like a snow lotus on a snowy mountain, swaying in the wind. It was incomparably proud, but it made people involuntarily want to approach it. The violent True Yuan was finally under control. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath, closing his eyes to sense the position of the parrot. He discovered that the parrot was already 100 miles away from him. The spiritual pet contract could not sense it. The only thing he could be sure of was that it was not dead. Just as he was about to step into the depths of the forest, his brows suddenly twitched. He discovered that the parrot was speeding over, and there seemed to be a very strong aura beside it. It's Xian Wuyu. Why is it together with Xian Wuyu? Could it be that it was captured? Yi Qinghan was shocked, hurriedly rushing into the depths of the forest. But not long after, Yi Qinghan raised his head to look at the sky. Xian Wuyu was like an ancient divine phoenix, his huge wings flapping in the sky, and the stars moving. In the blink of an eye, he had pounced into Flaming Cloud City, and the parrot was standing on his head. It did not seem like a captive at all. Yi Qinghan was left speechless. The parrot was such a weirdo that he felt like he was drunk. He had asked it to divert Leisure's attention, and in the span of a single night, it had managed to trick him. Within Flaming Cloud City, the flow of people increased once again. There were bitter sea stage cultivators at every turn, and even grotto heaven stage cultivators were not that rare anymore. Yi Qinghan quietly followed the flow of people into the city. With so many geniuses appearing at the same time, even Yi Qinghan would be drowned out. Moreover, he had taken the initiative to restrain his aura, making him seem like an ordinary youth. He didn't attract anyone's attention. Returning to the front of the Lingbao Hall, Yi Qinghan suddenly stopped. He stared at the enormous Lingbao Hall and felt that there was another terrifying existence inside. Even he did not have the confidence to fight against it. His aura is very similar to Qin Shan's. Could he be the head of the Qin family? Yi Qinghan muttered in a low voice. Young Master Yi, you've returned. Deacon Zhu is inside receiving the lords from above. He told me to wait here. If you return, please enter the private room directly. A servant ran out and said respectfully, Yes, I know. Yi Qinghan nodded his head and put the blood thorn into his sleeve. He carried the heavy berserk blade and directly walked into the Lingbao Hall. The people of the Lingbao Hall looked into Yi Qinghan's eyes and did not dare to look directly at him. They all bowed and avoided him. Entering the interior of the Lingbao Hall, in the center of the courtyard, an old man who looked about 50 or 60 years old stood there. His hands were behind his back and his back was facing the door. He looked at the pond in the center of the courtyard, as if he was immersed in the scenery. A faint pressure subconsciously spread outwards, intimidating people. Zhu Sheng stood respectfully at the side, holding a cup of tea, not daring to move. Yi Qinghan looked at this person and knew that he was definitely a top expert of the Lingbao Hall. If he was not the head of the Qin family, he was at least a grand elder. You are indeed a talent of the younger generation. No wonder Qin Shan and Qin Zheng praised you so much. You are the first person to discover me outside the Lingbao Hall. The old man slowly turned around. His gaze was sharp, as if he could see through a person's soul. He looked at Yi Qinghan, but there was some doubt in his eyes because he could not see through Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan maintained a distance of 5 meters and nodded slightly, which could be considered a greeting. I am Qin Ying, the head of the Qin family and the head of the Lingbao Hall. Young Master Yi does not need to be vigilant. I have never done business by force. Furthermore, I do not believe that I can kill you 100%. There is no benefit in offending you, and it will also bring shame to the reputation of the Lingbao Hall. Qin Ying's voice was somewhat hoarse as he looked at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently and nodded. However, he would not choose to believe Qin Ying just because he said such words. He indifferently said, Mr. Qin, since you are here to do business, then let's get straight to the point. Qin Ying indicated for Zhu Xing to leave. He then waved his hand and a faint array opened. It was enough to block the spying and attacks of Grotto Heaven experts. Mr. Yi, please take a seat. No one will disturb you here. Qin Ying indicated. The courtyard's environment was very beautiful. Green willows drooped by the side of the pond, goldfish swam about, and lotus flowers had already begun to bloom, emitting a dense spiritual energy. Yi Qinghan came to the side of the lotus pond and slowly sat down. After this business is done and the auction is over, I will have to leave this place. I cannot stay for long. Yi Qinghan inwardly muttered to himself as he decided on his future plans. I heard that Mr. Yi has a 5th grade martial skill to sell. I wonder if it is true. Qin Ying stared at Yi Qinghan and asked in a deep voice. Of course it is true. The reason why I am cooperating with the Lingbao Hall is because Yi Mingxi is in the Lingbao Hall. Moreover, I feel that the Lingbao Hall is trustworthy. Yi Qinghan indifferently said. It seems that young Master Yi is very wary of me. I wonder why you are willing to hand Yi Mingxi over to the Lingbao Hall. Are you not afraid that I will capture her to threaten you? Qin Ying saw that Yi Qinghan still maintained a certain distance from him. The blood thorns in his sleeves were like venomous snakes that could kill people at any time. He could not help but ask curiously. As for Yi Mingxi, I will help if I can. I will absolutely not give up my principles for her. You are very smart and will not do such a stupid thing. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up as he dispelled some of Qin Ying's foolish thoughts. Yi Mingxi was Yi Qinghan's weak spot, but this weak spot would not kill him. Once it was broken, Yi Qinghan would transform into a flawless, vicious beast and no one would be able to stop him. Ah, of course. I have not fallen to the point where a 5-year-old child can threaten me. However, the Qin clan did not hesitate to offend the blood fiends in order to cater to you and protect Yi Mingxi. Shouldn't Mr. Yi show some sincerity? Qin Ying's aura changed as he asked in a deep voice. What kind of sincerity do you want? Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed as he stared at Qin Ying. Since you have so many rank 4 martial skills, you must have more than one rank 5 martial skill. This old man wants to buy a stronger rank 5 martial skill. A martial skill that can allow the Qin clan to become a rank 5 wealthy clan. I hope Mr. Yi can help me. Qin Ying emitted a powerful aura as his ambition increased explosively. It was obvious that he wanted to unify the Owl Fall Star and become a rank 5 tyrant. Let's not talk about whether I have such a martial skill. Even if I did, do you think the Qin clan can afford it? In the endless universe, there are as many rank 4 sects as there are hairs on a cow. However, how many rank 5 wealthy clans are there? Any peak Dao sovereign expert can create a rank 4 martial skill. However, have you seen anyone who can create a rank 5 martial skill? Yi Qinghan asked in disdain. My Qin clan can pay in installments. Any amount of spirit crystals is fine. I believe that the Spirit Treasures Pavilion can reach the endless universe. As long as you are willing to give the Qin clan a chance and cooperate with us, the Qin clan will not mistreat Yi Mingxi in the future and will not let you down. Qin Ying stood up and said in a deep voice. Aha, the Qin clan is indeed worthy of being called businessmen. You're trying to gain something without risking anything. With just a word of cooperation, you can take away a 5th rank martial skill. Do you know that a true 5th rank martial skill is worth a small star? Even if you sell the Owl Falling Star, you might not be able to exchange it for a truly tyrannical 5th rank martial skill. Yi Qinghan laughed loudly and stood up to look down at the old man in front of him. This old man believes and also knows the value of a rank 5 secret skill. Therefore, I beg Mr. Yi to give the Qin clan a chance. Qin Ying looked at Yi Qinghan's wild laughter and knew that there would be a chance today. As long as the Qin clan could get something that interested Yi Qinghan or a promise that he would trust, Qin Ying was excited. Qin Ying was excited. He knew that since Yi Qinghan was able to take out a very low-level 5th grade secret technique, then he would be able to take out a true 5th grade super secret technique, one that could allow the Qin clan to advance in rank. Therefore, he gave up on using Yi Mingxi's life to threaten Yi Qinghan. As the saying goes, you have to give up something to gain something. To tell you the truth, you don't have the qualifications to practice a rank 5 martial skill. Your talent is average and your aptitude is average. You are only smart enough. Even if you have a rank 5 martial skill, you won't be able to pass the Dao Sovereign Realm's lightning tribulation. Yi Qinghan looked at Qin Ying carefully and said frankly. Qin Ying's expression turned ugly. He didn't expect Yi Qinghan to give him such an evaluation. He reached the blood-burning realm when he was young and crossed the sea of bitterness and inner demons when he was middle-aged. He reached the Grotto Heaven realm in less than 100 years. Now, he was 300 years old and had reached the peak of the 3rd step of the Grotto Heaven realm. He could enter the 4th step at any time. In Yi Qinghan's eyes, his talent was average and his aptitude was average. Then Mr. Yi, do you think this kid has some talent? A tender voice sounded in the courtyard. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed and he took a step back. He was extremely shocked. Even with his powerful divine sense, he didn't notice that there was a third person in the courtyard. A figure stepped out of the room. The youth was wearing a purple robe. His footsteps were light and agile. His devilishly perfect face made countless women pale in comparison. His eyes were dim and without light. He held a zither in his arms and slowly walked out of the hall. Yi Qinghan carefully sized up the youth. He found that he seemed to have no soul and was blind. He was at most 14 or 15 years old. Even when he walked, he didn't cause any spiritual energy fluctuations. Blood-burning realm, but his soul is one with the world. The zither immortal crimson demon physique that is rarely seen. Yi Qinghan lost his voice. Since his rebirth, this was the first time he was so shocked. The zither immortal crimson demon physique had a natural soul that was one with the world. There was a zither birthmark on the center of the palm. When one was able to cultivate, they could automatically revive the birthmark and summon it as a supreme treasure. The sound of the zither could destroy the soul of an expert. This kind of person only appeared once in 10,000 years. Every time, they could shake the 9 heavens and 10,000 worlds. Even if they couldn't be crowned emperor, they could still kill their way into the desolate universe and contend against the king of 10,000 beasts and the overlords of forbidden areas. This kid, Qin Shi Huang, greets Mr. Yi. The youth bowed without the slightest arrogance. He was a direct descendant of the Qin clan and was deeply liked by Qin Ying. Mr. Yi, what kind of physique did you say my son had? You mean my son has a special physique? Qin Ying was shocked and asked. It was clear that the Qin clan had no way of finding out the true physique of Qin Shi Huang. Chapter 66. The Qin Emperor heard what Yi Qinghan said clearly. The zither fairy crimson demon constitution. Although he didn't know what kind of constitution it was, he knew it must be very powerful, otherwise Yi Qinghan wouldn't be so surprised. The Qin Emperor didn't show any emotion. His young face was still respectful, but the zither birthmark in his palm became hot, emitting a faint golden light, as if it was going to fly out of his hand. He hasn't summoned the zither birthmark for the first time. He is definitely an unpolished gem. If I refine him a little, his future will be unpredictable. Yi Qinghan murmured to himself. His eyes flickered as he stared at the Qin Emperor's eyes. He couldn't help but frown. How could the zither immortal scarlet demon be blind? What's wrong with your eyes? Yi Qinghan asked seriously. Mr. Yi, I was born like this. I can't see, but my ears and consciousness are naturally sensitive, the Qin Emperor replied respectfully. Yi Qinghan was confused. Why was the Qin Emperor so respectful when meeting him for the first time? If it were someone else with such a powerful background and terrifying talent, they would be very arrogant. Even if they weren't a playboy, they wouldn't be so respectful to someone they met for the first time. However, according to rumors, people with the zither immortal scarlet demon physique were born with a pure heart. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to communicate with the zither, let alone cultivate to the peak state. Mr. Yi must be confused as to why my son is so respectful? It's because you are the most powerful person I've ever met. Even my great-grandfather is not as powerful as you, especially in the aspect of soul. Although the Qin Emperor couldn't see Yi Qinghan's expression, he could feel the fluctuation of energy. Therefore, he concluded that Yi Qinghan was confused. He was definitely a person with an extremely sensitive mind. Yi Qinghan was surprised. This person was indeed extraordinary. The zither immortal scarlet demon physique that appeared once every 10,000 years could achieve this. He would definitely rule the world in the future and look down on all living things. If he was crowned as a monarch, he might be able to reverse the 9 heavens and live forever. He would be the most powerful person in all the ages. Come here, come to me. Looking at the respectful face of the Qin Emperor, Yi Qinghan could feel the sadness in his eyes even though there was no light in his eyes. He couldn't help but feel pity for him as he looked at the respectful face of the Qin Emperor. The Qin Emperor could sense Yi Qinghan's emotional fluctuations, and so could Yi Qinghan. The Qin Emperor came before Yi Qinghan respectfully with the ancient zither in his arms, allowing Yi Qinghan to lift his eyelids. The black and white of his eyes were distinct. The ancient zither was reflected in his empty pupils, and the lines on it could be seen clearly. Yi Qinghan took the guqin from his bosom and found that this guqin was obviously different from ordinary guqin. Ordinary guqin had 7 strings, which corresponded to the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, plus 1 literary and 1 martial. It was also called a 7-string guqin. However, the guqin in the hands of the Qin emperor had 9 strings. Even with Yi Qinghan's knowledge, it was the first time he had seen such a guqin. Judging from the material, it was at most a guqin of the 4th grade. However, judging from the craftsmanship, it was extremely exquisite, which made Yi Qinghan exclaim in admiration. "Where did you get this guqin?" Yi Qinghan asked in a serious tone. In response to young Master Ye's question, "This is the guqin that I saw in my sea of consciousness in a dream last night. I made this guqin on purpose. Since my cultivation is limited, I can only make it this good. However, it is not even 1/10 of the power of the guqin that appeared in my sea of consciousness," the Qin emperor said with pursed lips. Yi Qinghan remained silent for a long time, and Qin Ying didn't say anything either. At this moment, Yi Qinghan displayed the true power of a mighty figure. A powerful aura was emitted from his body, suppressing Qin Ying's soul. The entire courtyard was extremely stifling. Goldfish swam on the surface of the water, breathing in the air. The Qin emperor raised his head and looked at Yi Qinghan, hoping to receive some guidance. However, Yi Qinghan didn't say anything from beginning to end. Yi Qinghan looked at the Qin emperor. It was unknown what he was thinking, causing the Qin emperor to be at a loss. After an hour, the Qin emperor finally took the initiative to break the silence. The Qin emperor wishes to take young master as his master. "I beg young master to not be stingy with your guidance," the Qin emperor bowed and begged. However, Yi Qinghan shook his head, causing Qin Ying and the Qin emperor to reveal a disappointed expression. "I am not a guqin cultivator. I won't be of much help to you," Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. "This little one doesn't ask for your help in the guqin Dao. I only ask that you light up a bright lamp on my path. Although I am blind, my heart is not. In the depths of my heart, I am telling myself that your appearance will definitely change my life." The Qin emperor directly knelt down in an extremely respectful manner. With his arrogant temperament, it was clear that he was sincerely asking for guidance. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. He didn't feel happy just because the future emperor knelt down in front of him. He was confident that one day he would definitely step onto the peak of the 9 heavens and become the eternal war emperor. If the zither immortal crimson demon physique was an enemy, he would still be trampled under his feet. "Rise. Master can only lead you through the door. Cultivation depends on the individual. I can only give you a few pointers. The rest is up to you," Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Qin Ying was overjoyed. Yi Qinghan had agreed. Since he was the Qin emperor's master, then wouldn't the matter of the 5th rank martial technique be settled? "Master, does this mean that you have agreed?" the Qin emperor respectfully asked. "You can say that. However, my requirements for accepting disciples are very high, especially regarding one's wisdom. If one day I find that you are not qualified, I will kick you out of the sect at any time," Yi Qinghan warned in a cold voice. "Thank you, master. This disciple will definitely not do evil." The Qin emperor was still respectful. Although he was only 14 years old, his wisdom far surpassed his peers. Yi Qinghan lifted his palm. The Qin emperor couldn't help but stand up. Qin Ying was overjoyed when he saw that he had succeeded in becoming Yi Qinghan's disciple. He rubbed his hands and said, "Young Master Yi, since we are now a family, then can we discuss the matter of the 5th rank martial technique?" Yi Qinghan was expressionless. Regarding the powerful 5th rank martial technique, he would definitely not reveal it to anyone, including Yi Mingxi. After all, he had cultivated the powerful 5th rank martial technique in his previous life. If it was leaked and someone found out, the consequences would be unimaginable. Yi Qinghan had collected quite a number of 5th rank martial techniques. Back then, there were some that he didn't like, but he felt that it would be a pity to throw them away, so he collected them in his memory. After thinking about it, there were some martial techniques that were suitable for this small planet. The flipping cloud palm could trigger the laws of heaven and earth. When it was used, it could cause the clouds to turn and rain to fall. It was extremely tyrannical. However, in Yi Qinghan's opinion, it was still a little lacking, so it had been hidden in his memory. The flipping cloud palm could be considered a middle-rank martial technique among the fifth-rank martial techniques. It wasn't a high-rank martial technique, but it was good enough to be a low-rank martial technique. When cultivated to the peak, it could definitely cause a phenomenon and sweep through the lower-rank planets. Such a martial technique, in a powerful planet, would be worth 100,000 upper-rank martial techniques, which was equivalent to 10 million middle-rank martial techniques or 1 billion lower-rank martial techniques. It was definitely enough to buy a small planet like the owl falling star. The flipping cloud palm, a middle-rank martial technique of the fifth rank. When it is used, it can trigger the roar of the great Tao, causing lightning to flash and thunder to roll. It can be cultivated to the peak of the Tao sovereign realm. When one enters the Tao through martial arts, it is also known as the Great Revered Realm. It is enough to establish a large clan of the fifth rank and is worth 10 million middle-rank martial techniques. Yi Qinghan looked at Qin Ying's expectant eyes and didn't want to become enemies with him. After all, Qin Shi Huang was still a child worthy of his nurturing. Furthermore, Qin Shi Huang was only 14 years old, which was the best time for his psychological development. It was easy for him to be influenced by others. If such a monstrous talent changed, it would be a disaster for the entire human race in the universe. It would also be a disaster for all living things. I will give you a 50% discount. Give me 100,000 middle-rank martial techniques every year, and I will pay you back in 50 years. Yi Qinghan's attitude was firm. His disdainful gaze made Qin Ying lose all thoughts of bargaining. But Qin Ying nodded without hesitation. Yi Qinghan didn't want to waste any more time. He directly transmitted the memory of the flipping cloud palm to Qin Shi Huang, who then transmitted it to Qin Ying. After Qin Ying received the secret technique of the flipping cloud palm, his old face flushed red and his body trembled with excitement. This is a true martial technique. If I had received it 100 years earlier, I would have definitely stepped into the realm of Tao Sovereign and become a supreme ruler. Qin Ying said to himself with a trembling voice. It was as if he could see the Qin clan soaring, and he could trample all over the world with a single palm. Stop talking nonsense. Give me the 100,000 middle-rank spirit crystals. I have a use for them. Yi Qinghan scolded without any trace of politeness. He didn't care if Qin Ying was a heavenly passage realm expert or not. Young master, you're here to attend the auction, right? This old man already knew. I've already prepared everything for you. Qin Ying gently stroked his purple robe and waved his hand. A universe ring flew towards Yi Qinghan. A grade 4 yin and yang ring had a space of several thousand square meters. More importantly, it could store the heavy berserk saber. Even if the heavy berserk saber didn't have a saber core, it was still a grade 4 yin and yang ring. A grade 3 yin and yang ring wouldn't be able to store it. However, a grade 4 yin and yang ring was different. As long as the saber core was separated from the heavy berserk saber, it could be stored inside the ring. Yi Qinghan took the grade 4 yin and yang ring without any trace of politeness. When he checked it with his sea of consciousness, he found that it was full of middle-rank spirit crystals. There were at least 100,000 of them. Nodding his head in satisfaction, Yi Qinghan looked at Qin Shi Huang and said, "Come with me. I will teach you how to activate the birthmark Immortal Zither." With that, Yi Qinghan turned and left. He didn't give Qin Ying a chance to speak again. In the guest area of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, there was a separate courtyard. It was surrounded by mountains and rivers. Green willows hung over the lake and hundreds of flowers bloomed. It was a magnificent scene. Yi Qinghan's proud and aloof figure walked on the green grass. Qin Shi Huang respectfully followed behind him while holding his zither. His frail body was dressed in a purple battle robe. As the robe swayed in the wind, there was a kind of otherworldly purity. "Can you feel the birthmark Immortal Zither in your palm?" Yi Qinghan asked in a low voice. "Teacher, sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. When I can feel it, I feel as if it is about to break through the shackles and rush out of my body. When I can't feel it, I feel as if it doesn't exist. Qin Shi Huang's immature voice floated in the air. It had an extremely strong penetrating power. His voice was like the sound of nature, spreading out with the wind. I don't understand the Tao of the zither, but I know that the Tao of the zither emphasizes on calmness, purity, and melodiousness. The unity of man and sword, and the unity of man and saber, is the highest realm of martial cultivation. I think it is the same for zither cultivators. You have to try to use your soul to communicate with the birthmark immortal zither. Treat it as your weapon, your soul, and activate it. Yi Qinghan recalled the records about the zither immortal's scarlet demon physique in his memory. The vicissitudes of life covered the mountains and rivers. The lonely Tao of saber was filled with tyrannical sharpness, causing people to be in awe. What the Qin Shi Huang was in awe of was Yi Qinghan's soul, not his aura. No matter how powerful the aura was, in the eyes of the Qin Shi Huang, it was like a fleeting cloud that would disperse with the wind. This was his advantage. When he heard Yi Qinghan's words, the Qin Shi Huang tried to lock his spiritual awareness onto the zither immortal zither, using his soul to communicate with the birthmark slowly. A wave of heat came from the birthmark immortal zither in his palm, as if the birthmark immortal zither was about to rush out of his body. Chapter 67. In the courtyard, a gentle breeze brushed past, ruffling the hair on the temples of Yi Qinghan and the Qin Emperor. Yi Qinghan was old and vigorous, standing proudly like a lone willow tree. The Qin Emperor was young and tender, like a divine son who had just walked out of a painting. He was handsome, devilishly handsome, and flawless. Only his eyes made people feel pity for him. At this moment, Qin Shi Huang's 5 jade-like fingers were emitting a golden light. The zither birthmark kept jumping, as if it was going to leave his body. Beads of sweat dripped from his forehead as he frowned. Yi Qinghan looked at Qin Shi Huang, who had a heart as pure as jade. His soul rippled without any evil. He was very satisfied and couldn't help but nod his head. The golden light soared into the sky. The zither kept changing until it became a real zither. The vicissitudes of the emperor's aura gushed out. The strings of the zither rose, and the sound of the zither rang out like the sound of nature. It touched one's soul and rolled up Qin Shi Huang's battle robe, making him look holy and pure. The sound of the zither was elegant, as if it came from the ancient times. It purified one's soul and made Yi Qinghan feel that the true energy was flowing in his body in an orderly manner, becoming purer and purer. Yi Qinghan closed his eyes and listened to the sound of nature. He restrained his aura, but he looked even more majestic. Qin Shi Huang sat cross-legged. The zither under his 10 fingers emitted a strong aura. Even though it had just broken through its shackles, it still had the majesty of a 5th-grade combat weapon. It looked similar to the zither in his arms, but it was more majestic and domineering. Qin Shi Huang gently plucked the strings of the zither. The sound of the zither was even more beautiful than the sound of nature. The melody was restrained and surged in the courtyard. However, outside the courtyard, there was no sound at all. Yi Qinghan suddenly opened his eyes and looked down at Qin Shi Huang, who was sitting cross-legged on the grass. He tried his best to suppress the agitation of his true energy. Divine light flowed on the surface of his body, tempering his body and making him look even more divine. What a terrifying sound of the zither. It can even mobilize my true energy. It is tempering my body and soul. Zither immortal crimson demon physique is indeed terrifying. Yi Qinghan muttered to himself. He was even more determined to protect this child as he grew up. He could not allow bad people to take advantage of him. The sound of the zither evoked unusual phenomena in heaven and earth. The catkins of the willows fluttered in the air, as white as snow. The fish in the stream jumped up and down, and the blue birds in the sky turned into lightning and landed beside the Qin Emperor. Hundreds of flowers danced in the air, and butterflies fluttered in the air. At the moment, the courtyard had turned into a fairyland, and the spiritual energy became extremely rich. The zither song, Farewell to the Snow in the Cold Moon, an ordinary zither song, was played by the Qin Emperor with such heavenly sounds. Yi Qinghan slowly sat down, listening to the zither song and comprehending the bitter sea stage. He faintly touched upon the threshold of 1 star of the bitter sea stage. Now that Qin Ing had obtained the grade 5 martial technique, flipping cloud palm, how could he still have the time to care about Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi Huang? He wished he could start cultivating it right now, but cultivating a grade 5 martial technique was not that easy. First of all, a grade 5 martial technique was extremely difficult to comprehend. If he wasn't careful, he could suffer from cultivation deviation. Even if he had Yi Qinghan's comprehension of cultivation, it still wouldn't be enough. Furthermore, he had to prepare a large amount of spirit pills and spirit crystals. Zhu Sheng, you have done a great service. I will reward you greatly. From today onwards, you will be promoted to an elder of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion with a different surname. You will be given the name of Qin Sheng. Qin Ing gazed at Zhu Sheng and said in a low voice. Zhu Sheng was overjoyed. He directly knelt on the ground and kowtowed to express his gratitude. In his heart, he was even more grateful to Yi Qinghan for allowing him to reach the heavens in a single step. Qin Sheng, you will personally bring people to the Qin family in the Qin prefecture. Tell them to sell their spirit pills and weapons, and buy grade 4 spirit pills and high-grade spirit crystals. The more the better. Qin Ing was incomparably dignified. His aura was even stronger than before. Perhaps the grade 5 martial technique had given him a new lease of life. Just, Lord Pavilion, I am willing to be a servant of the Qin family and pledge my loyalty to you till death. Zhu Sheng was ecstatic as he kowtowed and said, regarding the matter of Yi Qinghan, you've done well. When my Qin clan unifies I'll fall star, you'll definitely be at the top of the world. Don't disappoint me. Qin Ing held a wooden club in one hand and a piece of candy in the other. Zhu Sheng was both shocked and excited. Zhu Sheng retreated and Qin Ing personally guarded the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. Some Grotto Heaven Realm experts had already received the news and came to visit. A large number of experts had gathered in the Flaming Cloud City. There were countless Bitter Sea Realm experts. The heroes of the younger generation had all arrived. The top 10 talents of the Owl Falling Star had all arrived. Ranked 10th was the eldest son of the Qin family, Qin Haoran. He had mastered the Haoran sword art and his cultivation was close to the 4th level of the Bitter Sea Realm. Ranked 9th was the top assassin of the younger generation of the Blood Fiends, Ing Feng. His target was definitely not the auction, but Yi Qinghan. At this moment, Ing Feng was dressed in black and was incomparably handsome. He took advantage of the crowd to blend into the Flaming Cloud City and quickly disappeared. Ranked 8th was Xian Wu. However, since he had obtained the grade 5 True Spirit Dao Wings, his ranking was likely to jump to the top 3. Ranked 7th was Lu Aoqian, the Crown Prince of Ancient Lulun. Ranked 6th was Tang Chu, the son of the governor of the state capital of Qing. His cultivation far surpassed those of the same level. His target this time was likely to be Yi Qinghan as well because he had a good relationship with the ranked 9th Ing Feng. Ranked 5th was Di Kong. His origin was unknown and his cultivation technique was unknown. However, ever since he appeared, he had fought over 300 battles without a single defeat. No one could withstand more than 10 moves from him. The Divine Emperor Battle Heaven Halberd in his hand was invincible. Di Kong's personality was cold and unruly. He was a loner and no one could find out his background. He was extremely low-key on the Owl Falling Star. Ranked 4th was Loose Cultivator Su Fan. He was extremely famous on the Owl Falling Star. His luck was not bad and he obtained an ancient giant sword. The sword art he cultivated was an ancient secret technique, the Broken World sword art. Its grade was unknown. The top 3 people were all super experts of the younger generation who were rarely seen. Their cultivation had already broken through to the 7th level of the Bitter Sea Realm and above. Ranked 3rd was Zhao Wuji. He was also a loose cultivator. Ranked 2nd was the Owl Falling Star King, Wang Shizhi. Ranked 1st was the Ancient Sword King, Ling Chen. Ling Chen and Wang Shizhi had both obtained the title of king. Their cultivation far surpassed those of the same level. They were at the 9th level of the Bitter Sea realm and had already become famous 5 years ago. However, they had never fought with the other elites of the Owl Falling Star. Therefore, it was unknown who was stronger and who was weaker among the top 10 experts. No one would have thought that an auction would attract all of them. However, as soon as they entered the Flaming Cloud City, they quickly concealed themselves and did not alert anyone. Ying Feng seemed to know everything. He headed straight for the guest area of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion and the courtyard where Yi Qinghan was. After the Qin Emperor finished his song, he floated up and stood respectfully to one side. He opened his palm and the zither mark returned to his palm, as if it had never escaped. Yi Qinghan nodded his head slightly. He stretched out his hand and opened the Qin Emperor's eyelids again. He discovered that the zither shadow in his eyes had become even more substantial, blocking the light in the Qin Emperor's eyes. "Master, can my eyes still see?" The Qin Emperor raised his head and looked expectantly at Yi Qinghan. How he wished to obtain an affirmative answer. "The zither shadow in your eyes will affect your nerves. Seal your vision. Next time when you cultivate, remember to sense the zither shadow and see if there will be any changes. Then tell me," Yi Qinghan said with a frown. The Qin Emperor's situation had never been recorded in history. The zither immortal scarlet demon had only appeared twice in the countless years of human history. There were only a few words about them, but it was never mentioned that the zither immortal scarlet demon was blind from birth. "Yes, master," the Qin Emperor said while hugging his zither. "You go back to the house first. There are guests here, I will entertain them alone," Yi Qinghan said indifferently as he cast a glance at the mountain range in the distance. The Qin Emperor did not hesitate. Right now, he did not have much battle strength. If he stayed here, he would only implicate Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan took out the heavy wild blade and stood there proudly, gazing at the end of the mountain range. His eyes were like torches, capable of capturing people's souls. "Since you are here, why don't you come to my house and have a seat? I will treat you with tea." Yi Qinghan's deep voice traveled through time and space to the distance. Ying Feng held the powerful third-grade blood thorn in his hand and stood in the distance, looking at Yi Qinghan from across the mountain range. He did not expect that he would still fail to evade Yi Qinghan's spiritual awareness. Yi Qinghan's spiritual awareness had recovered to about 30%. As long as someone appeared within 3 miles of him, they would not be able to evade his spiritual awareness. Of course, the Qin Emperor's monstrous physique was an exception. "You are indeed powerful. No wonder Shui Sha failed to capture you time and time again." He was ranked 9th among the young generation on the entire Owl Falling Star. Ying Feng's figure shot out and arrived at the reception area. He stood in front of Yi Qinghan without alerting the guards of the Spirit Treasures Hall. They looked at each other in the eyes. Yi Qinghan clenched his heavy berserk blade, not underestimating Ying Feng. To be able to be ranked in the top 10 of the young generation, he was definitely not weak. Even if Ying Feng did not rely on concealment, he would still be able to injure him. "You are Ying Feng? The king of assassins of the young generation of Shui Sha, ranked 9th on the elite list of Owl Falling Star?" Yi Qinghan asked in a hoarse voice. "That's right, Yi Qinghan. I did not expect you to know me." The blood thorn in Ying Feng's hand trembled, his killing intent dense. The grass under his feet instantly withered. It seems that the ranking and information on the elite list is not accurate. Your cultivation should be at the 5 stars of the Bitter Sea stage. Yi Qinghan looked at Ying Feng's black robe fluttering, his face full of killing intent. His battle strength was absolutely tyrannical. He could not help but raise his evaluation of him. "Aren't you the same? Some information is not accurate. Like me, I never believed that you were at the Blood Ignition realm, and also did not believe that you were purely at the 1 star of the Bitter Sea stage. But in the end, you are still my stepping stone." Ying Feng said proudly, an invincible aura bursting out. He absolutely had the potential to be crowned king. Ying Feng's words represented that the two were opponents, enemies. The aura of the two rose at the same time, wanting to borrow the momentum to suppress the other. Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with disdain, the corners of his mouth slightly rising. He lightly took a step forward, his aura instantly rising, as if he was an invincible god of war. Any enemy would be suppressed. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The wind whistled, causing their battle robes to flutter. The killing intent condensed into a substance. The two could borrow the momentum to suppress the other, neither of them backing down. The grass between them withered, hundreds of birds flew away, and flowers danced in the wind, blocking their line of sight. Stepping stone. Yi Qinghan sneered, both hands clenching the heavy berserk blade. His eyes blurred, shooting out a murderous intent. That's right. I want to see if you can block my killing blow. Ying Feng said arrogantly. The blood thorn became even more dazzling under the sunlight. The sword light directly pierced into Yi Qinghan's eyes. The moment Yi Qinghan closed his eyes, his body was like a sword rainbow, transforming into an arrow that shot towards Yi Qinghan's throat. Hum! Showed at the blood thorn broke through the air, leaving behind an afterimage. It instantly surrounded Yi Qinghan. The grass was shattered by the sword qi, and everything in front of Ying Feng was like rotten wood that could not withstand a single blow. Chapter 68. The blood thorn was sharp, Ying Feng tyrannical. Wherever it passed, the grass would wither, no life remaining. The killing intent erased everything. Boom! Yi Qinghan remained motionless, but when he moved, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. He violently attacked, causing the world to rise and fall. The entire guest area was shaken as his violent and tyrannical aura surged out in defiance of the heavens, crushing the withered grass. Some withered trees were even uprooted. Chop! Hua! True yuan poured out from the heavy wild blade, like a volcanic eruption, unstoppable. The blade chopped out, the earth cracked. The blade flashed, chopping horizontally. The two of them turned into shooting stars and lightning bolts. Saber light and sword shadows tore through the void. They were practically stepping on the withered grass as they flew, dodging, attacking, and defending. Every step they took was at the peak of perfection. One careless move could lead to death. There was absolutely no chance for them to turn the tables. 12 moves, consecutive slash. Yi Qinghan's moves were ever-changing, the changes flowing like water. Every movement explained the extreme of violence, but also had some beauty. Shwa shwa shwa. The heavy wild blade danced, the 500-pound heavy wild blade chopping out. Ying Feng dodged like a ghost, occasionally stabbing out with his sword. He never met Yi Qinghan head-on. Ying Feng was extremely intelligent. He could see that Yi Qinghan's strength was absolutely the #1 person in the bitter sea stage. Even if he used all his strength, he would not be able to block Yi Qinghan's crazy attack. Do you think you can dodge? Yi Qinghan groaned, his footsteps crushing the earth. He turned into an arrow that left the bow, twisting his waist and thrusting his hips. Ethereal flying immortal, footwork was extremely strange. The heavy wild blade swept out from all directions, making it impossible for Ying Feng to dodge. Open! With an explosive shout, the heavy wild blade chopped at Ying Feng's chest. Ying Feng was shocked, his figure flying backwards. He wanted to dodge Yi Qinghan's blade, but even with the speed of Blood Fiend's top-level footwork, it was not as fast as Ethereal Flying Immortal. He could only raise his sword to block. Kill! Ying Feng's true yuan circulated around his body, enveloping the blood thorn. His sword collided with the heavy wild blade, but he did not know that the blood thorn in front of the heavy wild blade was like a weak child. Boom! Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. With a saber strike, Ying Feng's hands went numb. Even though the blood thorn was wrapped in true essence, it was still cut open by the wild heavy saber. His body was like a broken kite, constantly tumbling backwards. His feet crushed the earth beneath him, unable to stop his defeat. Ying Feng let out a muffled groan, his face pale as he gripped the blood thorn with both hands. He couldn't stop trembling, and his numb arms could no longer feel the blood thorn. What a powerful force! What incredible speed! Ying Feng's pupils constricted. He saw that Yi Qinghan had clashed with his full strength, but not only had he not been pushed back, he had instead pressed forward with even greater momentum. Spinning slash. Yi Qinghan's body spun and leaped over 10 meters. He pounced down from the sky like a goshawk pouncing on its prey. His momentum was as fast as lightning, and his blade descended from the sky with unstoppable momentum. Yingfeng no longer cared about his face. He rolled down the hill more than 10 meters away, escaping Yi Qinghan's attack range in a panic. The sand and rocks on the ground disintegrated. The wild heavy saber was incomparably sharp, and its saber energy could even flatten mountain rocks. Yi Qinghan pressed forward step by step, wielding his saber as if he were a god of war. Behind him was the enemy's forbidden land. Even someone as strong as Yingfeng could only retreat. Yingfeng's eyes flashed with a sharp light. He thought to himself, this person is too strong. Close combat is not my strong suit, so I can't resist. Yi Qinghan, if we fight again in the future, I will take your head and use it to establish the might of my blood fiend. Yingfeng understood that Yi Qinghan's strong point was his weak point. He didn't want to continue fighting. After leaving behind these ruthless words, he spat out a mouthful of blood. He turned and shot away, using the blood fiend's blood shield technique to its limit. In the blink of an eye, he vanished without a trace. Seeing Yingfeng retreat, Yi Qinghan didn't chase after him, nor did he look down on him. On the contrary, he became even more vigilant. Yingfeng was a killer who relied on the concealment and assassination techniques. He had only suffered a light wound after fighting with Yi Qinghan for so long, which was enough to prove his strength. The Qin Emperor stood in front of the window with his ancient zither in his arms. He didn't show any emotion. Sensing Yingfeng's retreat, a sweet smile appeared on the corners of his mouth. Master, you won, the Qin Emperor said softly, as shy as a girl. Yi Qinghan nodded. Looking at the weak Qin Emperor, he felt something was missing. The Qin Emperor and he were two extremes. One was as weak as a girl, and the other was as violent as a dragon. One was firm and the other was soft, one was fierce and the other was gentle. They didn't look like master and disciple at all. My son, are you interested in the martial arts? Yi Qinghan frowned. He wanted the Qin Emperor to be more masculine and less delicate. The Qin Emperor smiled and shook his head. He hugged his ancient zither even tighter, as if it was the only thing that could give him a sense of security. Yi Qinghan looked at the feminine Qin Emperor and felt something was wrong. But for a zither cultivator, being a bit weak was nothing, so he didn't think too much about it. In the Fire Cloud Tavern, the parrot was pointing at Xian Wuyu with an arrogant face. It had a look of disappointment on its face. You are really stupid. The body itself is a universe, and there is a spirit gathering array inside. You have to understand your body in order to absorb the spirit chi to the maximum and increase your cultivation speed. Didn't your master teach you that? The parrot asked angrily. Xian Wuyu was speechless. It was always people who praised him as a genius. But after this parrot appeared, it didn't have a single good word to say. My true essence isn't pure, my body isn't strong, my cultivation method is messy and impure, and my chi hasn't been expanded to its limit. Sigh. The parrot shook its head. It had followed Yi Qinghan's words and imitated them. It had guessed correctly. Xian Wuyu was not angry, but looked at the parrot nervously. Divine bird, is there anything that can be done? Xian Wuyu asked respectfully. Well, if you want to temper your Zhenyuan, you can use the art of pill concocting. By constantly consuming your Zhenyuan, you can increase its purity. The parrot was deeply influenced by Yi Qinghan, so it knew a thing or two about the art of pill concoction. If it were to personally teach the art of pill concoction, there was no way it would be able to do so. Xian Wuyu looked at the parrot as if it were a god. He asked respectfully, I don't know alchemy. Divine bird, can you tell me if I have the talent? What's the use of asking me? See if you have any fire element in your body. As for the alchemy recipe, your master is Shifeng. Don't tell me he can't even get a third-grade alchemy recipe? The parrot said disdainfully. My master went into seclusion recently, and I can't find him. I do have some fire element in my body, but a third-grade alchemy recipe costs at least a few thousand mid-grade spirit stones. I can't afford it. Xian Wuyu said helplessly. Why don't we go and trick Yi Qinghan? He has a lot of treasures. The parrot whispered. All right, you take me to him. I'll teach him a lesson and take him in. Then I'll have him break your contract. Xian Wuyu's eyes flashed. He wanted to take the parrot for himself. The parrot wanted to get rid of Xian Wuyu, but it was afraid that he would go crazy and roast it. Therefore, Xian Wuyu had no choice but to take the initiative to go find Yi Qinghan. Sure enough, when Xian Wuyu heard that they were going to find Yi Qinghan, he took the lead. Under the parrot's guidance, he went straight to the Spirit Treasures Pavilion's guest area. Because the parrot was leading the way, the Spirit Treasures Pavilion's guards didn't stop Xian Wuyu. Yi Qinghan had just defeated Ing Feng, and now Xian Wuyu was rushing over. He couldn't help but feel impatient. Yi Qinghan, get the hell out here. Xian Wuyu kicked open the courtyard's door and coldly shouted. Yi Qinghan's fingertips trembled. Seeing Xian Wuyu's arrogant face, he really wanted to slap him into the ground. What's the matter? A dignified elite of the younger generation? How can you be so uneducated? Didn't your master teach you anything? Yi Qinghan asked in a deep voice. Cut the crap. I came here today to ask you for a divine object. It's best if you give it to me. If you don't give it to me, I'll take it by force. I'll even take your life, Xian Wuyu said arrogantly. Yi Qinghan looked at the cocky parrot on Xian Wuyu's shoulder. His mouth twitched. It seemed that lowly bird had caused trouble for him again. What do you want? Yi Qinghan asked, speechless. That divine bird. I want it. Originally, this young master was going to kill you and collect Xue Sha's bounty. But if you take the initiative to give up your contract with that divine bird, I'm not an unreasonable person. I'll spare your life. Xian Wuyu's aura erupted, pressing down on Yi Qinghan. The two of them were less than 5 meters apart. Yi Qinghan looked at Xian Wuyu with a cold smile. This Xian Wuyu was definitely a hedonistic young master. He had never experienced life and death. Perhaps he had been spoiled rotten by old demon Shifeng. He felt that no one in the world would dare to attack him. Huh, you want the parrot? If it wants to go with you, I won't stop it. Yi Qinghan sneered. This shameless parrot was fine with Yi Qinghan. If it was subdued by someone else, its master would definitely be toyed to death. Master, I don't want to leave you. I'm just pretending to surrender. I'm loyal to you. My respect for you is endless. How could I betray you for a fool? The parrot flashed and pounced on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. Tears streamed down its face. It looked like the heavens had pity for it. Xian Wuyu, Yi Qinghan, Kakik. Ha! Qin Shi Huang chuckled. Then, he felt that his voice was a little tender and soft. His face blushed slightly. He quickly changed his voice and covered his mouth. Ah, what a spirited girl. Master, where did you get her? The parrot followed the laughter and looked up. When it saw Qin Shi Huang, it couldn't help but be stunned. It was attracted by the pure aura on his body. Master, your parrot is so cute. It's just that its brain isn't very good. It can't even tell the difference between a man and a woman. Qin Shi Huang walked out with his zither. Although he was blind, it didn't hinder him from walking. His divine sense spread out like a bat's radar. It was very agile. You're the one who's stupid. This divine bird is unique in the world. How can I not see through your nature? Don't think that you can pretend to be a man just because you're flat-chested. The parrot was furious. It didn't care about Xian Wuyu's man-eating eyes. It roared directly. Qin Shi Huang's expression changed slightly. He pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Before Yi Qinghan could scold it, Xian Wuyu's killing intent soared to the sky. The true spirit Dao wings soared into the sky and flapped in the air. The entire reception area was thrown into chaos. Good, good, good. You stupid bird, how dare you trick me? Today, I'll send you and your master to hell together. Xian Wuyu was furious. He treated the parrot with all his heart, but it was a pity that his heart was fed to a dog. Chapter 69. Xian Wuyu's murderous intent shrouded the entire reception area, attracting a large number of guards to stand on either side of Yi Qinghan and the Qin Emperor. The Qin Emperor, in particular, was surrounded by the guards on the inside and the outside. Xian Wuyu, you came to my Spirit Treasures Pavilion's guest area to cause trouble. Aren't you afraid of your teacher's wrath? The guard leader pointed his sword at Xian Wuyu and shouted, "Get lost. Today is a matter between me and Yi Qinghan. Does Spirit Treasure's pavilion want to interfere?" Xian Wuyu did not give any face. His eyes shot out a ferocious gaze as his body soared into the sky. In front of all the experts, he pointed at Yi Qinghan and said, "Yi Qinghan, if you are a man, then don't hide. Come with me outside the city and fight." Yi Qinghan was considered a celebrity in Flaming Cloud City recently, and Xian Wuyu's name was even more famous in Owl Falling Star. No one expected Xian Wuyu to declare war in front of everyone, and with such an aggressive tone, not giving Yi Qinghan a chance to refuse. "Master, kill him. I support you." The parrot hooted. Who? The more Xian Wuyu looked at the parrot, the angrier he got. His iron fists clenched, making cracking sounds. His wings fluttered, creating a raging wind as he glared at Yi Qinghan. "I originally wanted to kill you and collect the commission. It seems like you have given me a reason." Xian Wuyu's eyes flashed with a ferocious light as he looked down at the guest area and mocked, "Yi Qinghan, in front of everyone in Flaming Cloud City, tell me if you are a man or not. Do you dare to fight with me?" At this moment, at least half of the experts in Flaming Cloud City were gathered in the guest area. Even the old fox Qin Ying was hiding in the periphery, looking down at the guest area. He wanted to see Yi Qinghan's true strength. "I'd like to see if you're really that strong. I'd like to see if you're strong enough to crush Xian Wuyu, who has Tier 5 true spirit Taoist wings. If you can defeat Xian Wuyu, you might be able to defeat a Tao Insight expert. If you can't even defeat Xian Wuyu, I'd like to see how many secret skills you have in your head." Qin Ying's eyes flashed. A businessman would never have friends, only profits. How could he care whether Yi Qinghan was the teacher of the Qin Emperor? Yi Qinghan was silent for a long time. It was already very difficult to deal with Xian Wuyu, and he needed to use all his strength. Furthermore, Xian Wuyu had the support of the true spirit Tao wings and could fly, which was equivalent to the pseudo-grotto heaven realm. And he was only at the 1 star of the bitter sea realm. The difference between them was like heaven and earth. Even if he had the soul of a Tao sovereign, it could not make up for the difference in true yuan. As the saying went, face is worthless, but life is. Yi Qinghan wouldn't fight with leisure for the sake of face, only to let someone else benefit from it. "You don't dare? You bitch." Xian Wuyu sneered. "You're asking for a beating, aren't you? My master doesn't want to bother with you." The parrot jumped up as if its tail had been stepped on. "You lowly bird, I've never seen a bird as lowly as you. Just you wait. In less than a month, I promise I'll roast you and eat you." Xian Wuyu was furious and was about to lose control. I'm lowly. What can you do to me? Idiot." The parrot taunted arrogantly. Xian Wuyu was speechless. It was too difficult for him to quarrel with the parrot. Seeing Xian Wuyu suffer, the crowd discussed. Even a Tao Insight expert would not dare to embarrass Xian Wuyu like this. What's the background of this Yi Qinghan? If Shui Sha did not issue the ultimate kill order, I would not have heard of this name. Me too, I've never heard of this name. But he didn't give Xian Wuyu any face. Is he courting death? I heard that Lingbao Pavilion is protecting him. But I'm afraid it won't be enough to suppress Xian Wuyu. After all, this is a matter of the younger generation. Qin clan can't send the older generation to stop Xian Wuyu. With Qin Haoran's strength, I'm afraid he won't be Xian Wuyu's opponent. So I think Yi Qinghan will suffer. Some of the younger generation gathered together and looked at Yi Qinghan. No one was optimistic about him. There were a few unfamiliar faces standing in the distance. They were very young and were staring at Yi Qinghan and Xian Wuyu. They seemed to be waiting for something. Lu Outyan was among them. Yi Qinghan was thinking about the pros and cons of taking action. There were at least a few people staring at him. Some of them were ready to take advantage of the situation. 3 of them were the top 10 young geniuses of Owl Fall Star. Ying Feng, Tang Chu and Di Kong. Ying Feng was from Shui Sha, while Tang Chu and Di Kong had a good relationship with Xian Wuyu. "Son, let's go." Yi Qinghan clenched his violent hammer and left Lingbao Pavilion's guest area with the crowd, leaving behind a group of people looking at each other. "Yi Qinghan, are you looking down on me? Or are you really a coward? You don't even have the courage to face me head-on? Xian Wuyu blocked Yi Qinghan's path with a flash and coldly questioned, Xian Wuyu, if you really want to die, I'll fulfill your wish in a month. I don't have time to play with you now. Go away. Yi Qinghan frowned and shook his violent hammer. Hee, a month later, right? Fine, I'll wait for you for a month. Let's see what kind of tricks you can play in a month. Xian Wuyu sneered and left. His true spirit wings flapped in the air and stirred up turbulence. The weaker cultivators were directly sent flying. Master, Xian Wuyu is very powerful, and many people outside are targeting you. Qin Shi Huang followed Yi Qinghan closely while holding his zither. He felt the hostility of many people and was a bit unhappy. Don't worry, don't let others' attitude affect your state of mind. Look at the road ahead and just walk. Yi Qinghan rubbed Qin Shi Huang's head and smiled. The path of cultivation was destined to be lonely. If he was not an enemy, he would be a friend. If he acted impulsively because of someone else's words, he would definitely die before he could walk on the path of cultivation. Yeah, I know. For the sake of one's dreams, one can give up some things, such as face. Their temporary ridicule is just to warn us that we are not strong enough. Qin Shi Huang nodded seriously and said, Haha, I'm very satisfied that you can see through this. Endure a moment of humiliation and glory will last forever. Show off for a moment and fall into hell forever. Who is strong and who is weak? The one who laughs in the end will be the winner. Yi Qinghan laughed. Qin Shi Huang was indeed a bit more sensible than his peers. If it were any other 13 or 14-year-old kid who encountered today's situation, they would have rushed out long ago and even ridiculed him for being so weak and useless. The master and disciple strolled through the mountains and rivers. The parrot was surprisingly much more obedient. When they arrived at Hua Fei'er's house, it was still quiet. Ever since Yi Qinghan left, Hua Fei'er and Hoya had also joined the Hua clan. Their wish to be the direct descendant was fulfilled. Stay here for the next few days. I'm sure there will be a lot of rascals coming to disturb you. You have to take care of yourself. Yi Qinghan reminded. Yeah, don't worry, master. I can take care of myself. Qin Shi Huang was very sensible, which saved Yi Qinghan a lot of trouble. In the evening, the two settled down in the courtyard. The parrot ate the dragon fruit and quietly ran to Qin Shi Huang's room. It sat by the window and looked at Qin Shi Huang. Hey, little girl, do you want a dragon fruit? The parrot took out a round dragon fruit and tempted Qin Shi Huang. Shut up, I'm a boy. Qin Shi Huang was furious. He didn't even look at the dragon fruit. He had a noble status. What kind of elixirs didn't he have in his ring? Che, you lied to me? I'm a great divine bird. Can't you tell the difference between a man and a woman? The parrot asked disdainfully. If you continue to talk nonsense, don't blame me for being impolite. Qin Shi Huang held the zither in his arms. His 5 jade-like fingers pressed on the strings of the zither. He frowned and scolded. You lied to master. You're clearly a little girl. If you dare to touch this divine bird, I'll expose you. The parrot threatened. Qin Shi Huang and the parrot glared at each other. Qin Shi Huang's pure eyes didn't have any impurities. They were dim and lifeless, which made people pity him. However, the parrot didn't have any pity. It was arrogantly threatening him. However, Yi Qinghan didn't have time to deal with the parrot. He had just broken into the bitter sea stage and was comprehending the new realm. Stepping into the bitter sea stage again, his understanding of cultivation was very different. His temperament was also quietly changing. The vital energy in his body was surging and roaring, like the rolling sea. It was enough for him to use the frenzy blade technique with all his strength and not fall down. For Yi Qinghan, this kind of short burst was not enough. He needed to kill his opponent and deter others at the same time. The little person in his sea of consciousness was constantly practicing the frenzy blade technique, the extreme divine dragon step, and the extreme heavenly yuan technique. The consumption of vital energy was the lowest, but the battle strength was maximized. As night fell, Yi Qinghan opened his eyes. His aura became extremely fierce. His vital energy was restrained. Outsiders couldn't see his specific cultivation level, but they could feel the threat. Opening the door, he saw the parrot chattering in front of Qin Shi window. It had talked for an entire afternoon and didn't seem to have any intention of stopping. However, Qin Shi didn't want to pay attention to it. He directly sealed his ears and cultivated quietly. He was comprehending the zither birthmark on his palm, hoping to be able to control it freely. Yi Qinghan was very satisfied with Qin Shi state of mind. There weren't many people who could endure the parrot's chatter and still cultivate wholeheartedly. "Parrot, do you have nothing better to do?" Yi Qinghan looked at the parrot and asked with a frown. "I have something to do. Master, I discovered that many treasures suddenly appeared in the southeast of Flaming Cloud City. Hee, are you interested in getting them?" The parrot looked at Yi Qinghan and suddenly trembled. It asked in a serious manner. Yi Qinghan was sweating. The auction house was located in the southeast of Flaming Cloud City. The sudden appearance of treasures was definitely an auction item. Who knew how many experts were guarding it? Trying to get those items was the same as seeking death. Don't go near that place. There are at least 3 or 4 Grotto Heaven Realm experts guarding it. If you go, don't think of coming back. Yi Qinghan coldly warned. When the parrot heard this, it immediately withered. Divine bird. Aren't you called Divine Bird? Why don't you go and steal from the auction house? There are many treasures there. Qin Shi stopped cultivating and finally seized the opportunity to mock. "I don't compete with women." The parrot rolled its eyes. It was better to just kill it than to let it take the risk. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. Qin Shi was indeed too weak like a girl. He wasn't suitable to cultivate the martial way. Qi refinement was more suitable for him. Yi Qinghan passed the Extreme Dao Heaven Origin Technique's martial skill memories and insights to Qin Shi. When Qin Shi felt this secret technique in his memories, he couldn't help but be shocked. This level of martial skill was definitely worth more than a small star. Before the Qin Emperor could express his gratitude, a few crisp knocks on the door were heard. Then, a flash of cold light flashed, and a dart flew in with a piece of paper attached to it, piercing into the door beside Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan reached out his hand and took it. When he opened the paper, he frowned. Chapter 70. Be careful of the meeting of heroes. There were only 5 words on the paper, but it was a warning. Yi Qinghan poured out his zhenyuan and crushed the paper into dust, scattering it with the wind. Meeting of heroes? My son, do you know what this is? Yi Qinghan asked in a low voice. Qin Shi thought for a moment, then raised his head and said, "Teacher, the meeting of heroes is not some organization. It is a gathering of the young generation of elites. Someone will lead them to organize a gathering. Those who can truly participate in the meeting of heroes are all super powerful warriors of a certain region. Looking at the entire star, they are all either rich or noble, invincible existences." This time, the auction house organized such a huge auction and attracted so many powerful warriors. Lu Outyen is the crown prince of ancient Lulan, and also one of the top 10 young experts of Owl Falling Star. I guess he is the one who organized the meeting of heroes. Qin Shi quickly explained. What are the rules of this meeting of heroes? What is the purpose of organizing the meeting of heroes? Yi Qinghan asked curiously. The meeting of heroes is organized for the true top geniuses to exchange their experiences and compete in private. Some people want to use the opportunity to break through their bottlenecks and climb to the peak. Some people want to make friends with the elites of the world and rope in talents. For example, Lu Outyen. This time, he will definitely take the opportunity to rope in a large number of talents for Lulan. Qin Shi explained again, the meeting of heroes is not compulsory, but under normal circumstances, those who are invited will go. After all, if they don't go, it means that they are looking down on the meeting of heroes, looking down on all the heroes of the world, and will be attacked by everyone. Yi Qinghan frowned. The organizer of this meeting of heroes was Lu Outyen. Then who was the one who warned him? Just now, someone had appeared quietly. Regardless of speed or stealth, they were all top-notch. Even Yi Qinghan could only sense him before he disappeared. It could be seen that he was at least one of the top 10 of the young generation. At this moment, Yi Qinghan felt that the atmosphere of the entire Flaming Cloud City was extremely stifling. He didn't know if many people were friends or foes, including Lu Outyen, who had previously expressed goodwill. He didn't dare to believe it. As for Xian Wuyu, Ying Feng, and the others, there was no need to even mention them. Go to sleep. Today, someone reminded me of the meeting of heroes. I believe that tomorrow, someone will come to invite me. Tomorrow, I will bring you to see just how strong the heroes of this world are. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice as the corner of his mouth revealed a hint of arrogance. Early morning of the second day, within the official relay station of Flaming Cloud City, Lu Outyen was waving his hand to write invitations. Those that could truly enter his eyes were all invincible kings of a country. The weakest was at the bitter sea stage. Someone come, deliver these invitations to the guests one by one. There is an address on the invitation. There must be no mistakes. Lu Aon looked at the nearly 100 golden and dazzling elite invitations on the table and said in a serious tone, "Yes, Your Highness the Crown Prince." The Fire Qilin Army's senior superintendent personally led the team to retrieve the elite invitation and deliver it to the Crown Prince according to the address. Once the elite invitation came out, it caused a huge uproar. Everyone was guessing just who would be invited. After all, the elite invitation represented glory and was not something that anyone could obtain. Some people, even if they were at the 9th star of the bitter sea stage, may not enter Lu Outyen's eyes. Old Shui, you personally deliver the invitations of Ancient Sword King Lingchen, Xiao Yun King Wang Shizhi, and Zhao Wuji to their hands. I will personally deliver Yi Qinghan's invitation. Lu Outyen waved his hand and 2 soul-stealing golden invitations appeared in his hand. He handed it over to the protector beside him, Shui Gang. Within the courtyard, Yi Qinghan waved his battle blade. Flowers flew and butterflies danced. His chi swept the withered leaves in the courtyard and blocked his line of sight. Swish, 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 a cold light flashed, incomparably sharp and invincible. It broke through the shackles of the void. True yuan flowed along the edge of the blade, transforming into lightning that struck in all directions. The melody of the guqin transformed into the sounds of nature. The Qin Emperor moved the strings, attracting tens of thousands of birds. The clouds in the sky gathered as if they had a soul. They evolved into a 7-colored divine phoenix. Strange phenomena appeared in the sky, magnificent and magnificent. Yi Qinghan listened to the music, his qi and blood burning. His true yuan was restless. His heart involuntarily wanted to go crazy, to fight. A tyrannical aura burst out, that 7 feet heavy berserk, erupting with a monstrous evil aura that reached the clouds. Boom boom boom, his true yuan and blood burned. New true yuan constantly gushed out from the depths of his qi. It was endless, causing Yi Qinghan's eyes to flicker. He took the initiative to temper his body. The light on the surface of his body surged, the aura of jewels emitted. Eastern purple qi gushed out, making the surrounding 100 meters look like a fairyland. Damn, this girl is so fierce. The music can actually make me. The parrot was drowsy. Listening to the music, the feeling was completely different from Yi Qinghan. In the end, he could not even stand properly and directly fell to the ground, asleep. Boom, Yi Qinghan's body almost left the ground. He rushed out of the courtyard and slashed his saber into the lake, rolling up tens of thousands of waves. Splash, hum. The long saber rolled and a water dragon rushed out of the water. It was like a real dragon playing in the water, vivid and lifelike. It let out a long cry, like a dragon's roar piercing through the void. Flipping saber style, god-slaying style, heavenly dragon style. Yi Qinghan danced faster and faster. The 250 kilograms heavy berserk saber in his hand was as light as a feather. As the rhythm of the music increased, his whole body was drowned by the saber's shadow. Extreme space-breaking style. At the end of the song, the Qin Emperor fiercely plucked the 9 strings of the guqin. The sharp energy turned into a divine weapon and broke the door. A row of wooden pillars were as fragile as tofu and were cut down from the middle. The extreme sky yuan art had been merged with the Qin Emperor's Tao of Guqin overnight. Borrowing the melody of the Guqin, the energy rushed out of his body. His combat power was more than 10 times stronger than before. Yi Qinghan withdrew his saber. His face was not red and he was not out of breath. Seeing the wooden pillars and walls of the courtyard collapse, not only was he not angry, but he was even happier. The Qin Emperor's comprehension was better than he had imagined. Master, I'm sorry. I destroyed the house. The Qin Emperor stood up with his Guqin in his arms. He scratched his head and smiled. I was too engrossed and didn't control it well. Ha, it's okay. Even if you destroyed the flaming cloud city, I can rebuild it for you. Cultivate well. The power of the extreme sky yuan art is closely related to the control of the soul. You can use the Guqin to exert its power to this extent, but it can't be considered a success. You have to cultivate more and try to completely merge it. Yi Qinghan laughed with satisfaction. He looked at the Qin Emperor and was especially happy. The true yuan in his body had no impurities because of the music, and his combat power had more than doubled. Dao friend Qinghan is indeed a dragon among men. I didn't misjudge you. I wonder when I can spar with Dao friend? A dignified voice sounded. Lu Outyen was wearing a light armor. He stepped on the water surface and looked at everyone with disdain. His whole body emitted a faint pressure. Yi Qinghan turned around. The walls in front of him had been pierced through by the Guqin music. The outside world was unobstructed. Lu Outyen arrived in front of the courtyard in a blink of an eye. Qinghan is honored that Crown Prince Outyen has graced my humble abode with your presence. Please come in. Yi Qinghan smiled. He did not want to offend Lu Outyen. Having a good relationship with someone in the elite ranking would make the road ahead easier. It seems like we have underestimated the Qin Emperor of the Qin clan. I didn't expect him to be a top-notch genius in cultivating the Guqin. Brother Ye's eyes are sharp. Outyen is impressed. Lu Outyen glanced at the Qin Emperor and sighed. Whether he is a dragon or a worm depends on his luck. I wonder why the Crown Prince has come in person? Yi Qinghan asked indifferently. Brother Yi is too polite. If you think highly of me, just call me Outyen. The title of Crown Prince is just an illusion in your eyes. There is no need to mention it. Lu Outyen said proudly. The reason he was able to reach where he was today was not because of the title of Crown Prince. It was because of his talent and hard work. All right. Brother Lu, Qinghan is being too polite. Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and smiled. Ao Tian is here for the meeting of heroes. As the host, I hope that Brother Yi will give me some face. Come to the Lulan Heavenly Pavilion Relay Station tomorrow morning. I will welcome you with open arms, Yi Futian said. As expected, it is because of the meeting of heroes. Yi Qinghan secretly said this in his heart. He took the invitation card and discovered that the note from last night wasn't written by Lu Outyen. The handwriting was different. All right, I will be there tomorrow morning. Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and said without hesitation. Can I go and take a look? Qin Shihuang looked at Lu Outyen and asked softly. No problem. As long as Brother Yi brings you there, no one will stop you. I'm just worried that your big brother will make things difficult for you. I hope you won't mind it then. Lu Outyen looked at Qin Shihuang and said with a serious tone. Thank you, Crown Prince. I don't care about other people's eyes and words. I just want to see the meeting of heroes. Qin Shihuang said proudly. Qin Shihuang had a noble status. He was the grandson of the head of the Qin clan and was ranked 5th. However, he had always been looked down on by his brothers. Even the other cousins of the Qin clan looked down on him. It was because he was blind and weak like a woman. However, he had the right to inherit the position of the head of the Qin clan. It made people jealous, especially Qin Haoran, who hated Qin Shihuang the most. Qin Haoran was the #1 of the younger generation of the Qin clan and one of the top 10 elites of the Owl Falling Star. However, because of Qin Ying, he was ranked 2nd to Qin Shihuang. How could he not hate Qin Shihuang? Lu Outyen smiled indifferently. Seeing that Yi Qinghan had agreed, he cupped his fists and said goodbye. He went back to host the meeting of heroes. In the courtyard, Yi Qinghan looked at Qin Shi Huang and asked indifferently, "Son, are you being ostracized by the Qin clan?" "Yes, they do not dare to ostracize me in public. It is fine. Master, you don't have to worry about it. However, if you accept me as your disciple, I am afraid you will offend my big brother Qin Haoren. You have to be careful of him during the meeting of heroes." Qin Shi Huang was sad. He wanted to live in an ordinary family with parents and brothers who loved him dearly. Even if he could not see, it was fine. Unfortunately, things did not go as he wished. In the entire Qin clan, only Qin Ying doted on him. All the other elders disliked him. That is because you are not strong enough. When you are strong enough, they will change their attitude. Go and cultivate now. Tomorrow, I will bring you to the meeting of heroes and meet your big brother Qin Haoren. Yi Qinghan was disdainful. Ostracizing his own brother for the sake of the clan's assets? How smart could such a genius be? Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi Huang were cultivating hard in the courtyard. There were many scouts patrolling outside, but they did not dare to enter the courtyard. The Qin clan had also sent some experts to protect Qin Shi Huang. Because of the meeting of heroes, the younger generation of the Flaming Cloud City started to become restless. The entire Flaming Cloud City was suppressed, and a slight carelessness could lead to a huge battle. Chapter 71. Late autumn, Flaming Cloud City was like a sea of fire. A gust of autumn wind blew past, sweeping up large amounts of leaves from the maple forest, covering the sky. Half of the sky was red. The red clouds hung in the east, giving off a sense of beauty. Outside the relay station of Lulan Sky Pavilion, there were many young talents gathered. They all wanted to see who was in this year's meeting of heroes. There were also some people who were angry because they did not receive an invitation. They decided to challenge the heroes and fight to become famous. The relay station had a spirit-gathering formation. Inside, there were hundreds of flowers blooming. The huge courtyard occupied an area of 500 meters. There was a large number of Fire Qilin army guarding it, protecting Lu Outyen's safety. At this moment, there were already more than 20 experts in the relay station. Every one of them was an invincible expert of the same level. Among them, there was no lack of princes of kingdoms, and even the princes of empires. They were the super elites of the rich and powerful families. They were arrogant. Being invited to the meeting of heroes already represented their strength. Qingyang Kingdom's Situ Fengyun was also among them. His white robe fluttered in the wind, looking extremely elegant. His white jade fan emitted a faint cold air, blocking the scorching heat of autumn. Qin Haoren rode on a fierce beast with the bloodline of an ancient thunder beast. He carried a long sword on his back and wore the special robe of the Qin clan. On his left shoulder, there was a soul-stirring Qin character. No one dared to stop him. "Welcome, Brother Qin. Please come in." Lu Outyen stood outside the relay station to welcome the guests without the slightest arrogance. "Ha, Brother Outyen, how many people did you invite this time?" Qin Haoren's robe fluttered in the wind. His face was like jade, but there was less sunshine in his eyes and more haze. "Not many, a total of 72. The lowest cultivation is at the bitter sea stage. Most of them are acquaintances. I will introduce them to you when the time comes. Please come in. Tang Chu, Xian Wuyu and the others have already arrived. You can catch up." Lu Outyen gestured with his hand. Outside the relay station, there was a boiling cauldron of voices. Some of the young experts couldn't hold themselves back anymore. Many of them were undefeated experts, yet they didn't participate in the great ensemble. This made them feel humiliated. If Lu Outyen wasn't strong enough, coupled with his status as the crown prince of ancient Lulan, he wouldn't be able to suppress this scene. You are underestimating the heroes of the world. Do these people represent the meeting of heroes? This young master has never been defeated since I was 15 years old. 3 years ago, I even rushed into the top 100 of the Owl Falls Star Elite competition. If it wasn't for the fact that I was severely injured and had to stop, I would definitely rush into the top 50. Crown Prince, you invited 72 people, but I'm not among them. Are you looking down on me? A young man walked out of the crowd angrily. He had an arrogant look on his face as he looked disdainfully at the elite who entered the relay station with an invitation. That's right. Do the 72 of you represent the elites of Owl Falls Star? Do you think we're dead? Is the Crown Prince planning to bully us just because you're our host? Flaming Cloud City has at least several thousand bitter sea stage experts. Which one of them is not a veteran of hundreds of battles? You actually only invited 72 people. Until now, I have seen a few unfamiliar faces. We are very suspicious of the quality of this heroes meeting. We're not convinced either. In an instant, there were at least 100 people clamoring. Some even pulled out their swords, killing intent radiating in all directions. Lu Outyin frowned. Looking at the angry crowd, he felt helpless. These people were arrogant and unruly. No one would submit to anyone. The people he invited this time were definitely the top experts of the continent. He did not favor anyone. But this did not mean that these 72 people were the strongest 72 of the younger generation. It was normal for people to be dissatisfied. Everyone, the meeting of heroes represents the true elites. Although Outyin has consulted many information systems, but it is inevitable that there will be mistakes. It is impossible to select the strongest 72 people. If anyone has any objections, there will be a free competition in the afternoon. You can challenge as much as you want, but you must maintain the same level. If you can win against any one of the 72 people, Outyin will definitely apologize in front of the world. Lu Outyin stared at the crowd and said in a low voice. His voice was dignified and polite. Lu Outyin left a way out for himself. He was not too absolute. After all, these people could be people he wanted to rope in. There will be a competition in the afternoon? It's not bad to be able to spar with these top experts. Maybe I can take the opportunity to break through. Everyone was overjoyed. There were also some who vowed that they would become famous in the world. They would be roped in by countless dynasties and become the second most powerful person in the world. Fellow Taoists, the time in the morning is for us 72 people to interact with each other. Please do not disturb us. If you have any questions, there will be an explanation in the competition in the afternoon. Now, please come to the restaurant outside the relay station. I will treat you. Lu Outyin said straightforwardly, instantly winning the good impression of everyone. Good. You are indeed the crown prince of an ancient country. It would be rude if we did not give you face. That's right. Don't make things difficult for the crown prince. If you really think you are an elite, you can just spar in the afternoon. Everyone nodded and discussed. Then, they followed Lu Outyin's protector Shui Gang to the restaurant outside the relay station. Xiao, a figure flashed past with extreme speed. Even Lu Outyin did not see it clearly. Then, a golden invitation card streaked across the sky. The other party had already entered the relay station. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Even Lu Outyin was shocked. He took the invitation card and looked at the other party's name. He could not help but shake his head. Ancient Sword King, Ling Chen. As expected of Xiao Yun Star's Young Generation's #1. I'm afraid even some Grotto Heaven Realm experts might not be his match. Lu Outyin sighed. Before anyone could react, another sword rainbow streaked across the sky. The elite invitation card broke through the sky. The other party had used stellar transposition and stepped into the relay station. Xiao Yun King and Wang Shizhi had also arrived. Only the two of them were able to do this. Zhao Wuji was probably a bit inferior. 1 star, 2 emperor-level experts. One could see how high the requirements for emperor-level experts were. Time passed. Many people brought their Dao partners into the relay station. Although only 72 people were invited, there were more than 100 who actually came. An hour later, the gathering was about to start. Almost everyone had arrived, but Yi Qinghan had not arrived. Lu Outyin frowned and looked into the distance. Brother Lu, are we still missing people? Qin Haoren frowned and asked. Still missing one. Yi Qinghan, let's go in and wait. If he doesn't come, we'll start immediately. Lu Outyin said indifferently. Inside the relay station, Wang Shizhi and Ling Chen sat alone. They were cold and arrogant. Zhao Wuji was even colder. He stood alone in front of the flower bed, admiring the flowers and waiting for the gathering to start. Yi Qinghan is too arrogant. Inviting him for the gathering is giving him face. He actually doesn't know what's good for him and still hasn't arrived. He's clearly looking down on us. Qin Haoren said coldly. Lu Aotian, why did you invite an unknown person? Are you sure he's qualified to participate? Xian Wuyu was somewhat dissatisfied. How could someone who did not even dare to accept his challenge be qualified to participate? Ying Feng was dressed in black. He looked at Lu Aotian and realized that Yi Qinghan was the last to arrive. His eyebrows twitched, but he didn't say anything. He obviously wouldn't prove anything to Yi Qinghan in front of everyone. After all, losing wasn't something to be proud of. Some people were proud and arrogant. They wanted to show off in front of their Dao partners. Especially in this gathering, they wanted to suppress others together and gain face. They started to discuss in a small circle. They wanted to wait for Yi Qinghan to arrive and teach him a lesson to show off their abilities. Lu Aotian shook his head and smiled. Don't worry. There's still an incense stick's worth of time. Whether Yi Qinghan is qualified to participate in the gathering or not, we'll know soon enough. Just as everyone was discussing animatedly, a beautiful woman in a rainbow-colored glazed dress flew over. Her temperament was extraordinary, and she carried a trace of otherworldly immortal energy. Her tall and voluptuous figure made people restless, and her cold expression did not affect her peerless beauty at all. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and stared at her. They couldn't shift their gaze away. Even Ling Chen and Wang Shizhi couldn't help but look up. Who is she? Is she here to participate in the gathering, or did someone bring her here? What a powerful cultivation technique. I didn't even notice her when she was beside me. Is she from Owl Falling Star? The absolute beauty's appearance made all the women present pale in comparison. 100 flowers lowered their heads shyly, willing to be her foil. Lu Aotian bowed slightly and cupped his fists. Lu Aotian greets Her Highness Lu Ning. It's her. Isn't she the Thousand Willow King Lu Ning from the 5th grade wealthy family, Lu family of the Owl Dragon region? Why is she here? Wang Shizhi was shocked. He looked at Ling Chen, hoping to confirm her identity. Ling Chen nodded and stood up. He cupped his fists and said, Dao friend Lu, it's been 3 years since we last met. I didn't expect to see you on Owl Falling Star. So it's brother Ling Chen and brother Wang. It's a pity that we didn't have a showdown in the conferred king battle. I didn't expect that after 3 years, your cultivation would have improved by another level. Lu Ning's eyes were sparkling like a treasure. It made people fall in love with her forever. They couldn't escape from her charm. While everyone was staring at Lu Ning, she didn't show any interest in them. She just said indifferently, I'm only here to take a look at the so-called gathering of heroes of Owl Falling Star. You don't have to care about me. Even though she said it very indifferently, everyone could hear the disdain in her voice. Ling Chen and Wang Shizhi's aura sank. They were somewhat displeased. Discriminating against Owl Falling Star was the same as looking down on them. It was a regional honor. Lu Aotian laughed awkwardly. Just as he was about to change the topic, he saw Yi Qinghan leading Qin Shi Huang into the relay station. Lu Aotian quickly said, Brother Qinghan is here. Let me introduce you to these heroes. Everyone quickly shifted their dissatisfaction towards Lu Ning to Yi Qinghan. After all, Lu Ning's background was too big. Even if she offended them, they didn't dare to say anything. However, towards a nobody like Yi Qinghan, they still dared to be arrogant. In an instant, at least 10 people locked their malicious gazes on Yi Qinghan. Some women even ridiculed him. However, Yi Qinghan's gaze was fixed on Lu Ning. The lancet mark on Lu Ning's left shoulder was like a sharp divine weapon that shot into Yi Qinghan's eyes. It made his aura stagnate. A trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes. All Dragon Star's rank 5 great clan, Lu family. The Lu family that participated in the massacre of my Owl Dragon War star actually appeared on this small star. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. He couldn't control his emotions. In the past, the Lu family's patriarch, great revered Lu Su, had slaughtered countless people from the Yi family. The hatred between him and the Lu family was absolutely irreconcilable. Chapter 72. Yi Qinghan's face turned ugly at Lu Ning's appearance. Qin Shi quickly sensed his soul fluctuation and quickly grabbed Yi Qinghan's clothes with his small hands. He shook slightly to keep him awake. Everyone saw Yi Qinghan lose his mind when he saw Lu Ning and thought that Yi Qinghan was bewitched by her beauty. They couldn't help but laugh. Someone like him deserves to participate in the meeting of heroes? Brother Lu, I have to say that you made a mistake this time, Tang Chu said with disdain. Qin Shi why are you here? It's not enough for you to embarrass yourself at home. You actually came here to embarrass yourself. Qin Haoren looked at Qin Shi with disgust. When he looked at Yi Qinghan again, how could he be in a good mood? He sneered, "This is the master you found? Ah, really? I don't want to scold you guys anymore. A half-baked trash like you actually wants to take in a disciple. However, taking in a blind person, you guys are quite compatible." Brother Haoren is indeed a straightforward person. You don't even give face to your own brother. Everyone looked at Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi, mocking and humiliating them. They had completely forgotten about Lu Ning's disdain and humiliation. This was the tragedy of Little Star. Big brother, Qin Shi was furious. He hugged his zither tightly. The zither mark on his palm was restless, about to explode. Don't call me big brother. I don't have a brother like you. You occupy a large amount of resources, but you are still trash. You are wasting the family's resources. If I were you, I would have given the resources to other talented brothers and sisters, Qin Haoren said coldly. Yi Qinghan looked at Qin Haoren. He had a handsome face, but his brain was full of water. He pressed his hand on Qin Shi shoulder, indicating that he shouldn't expose himself for now. After all, Lu Ning was beside them. Brother Haoren, give me some face. There is no need to make the situation so awkward. Qin Shi is your brother after all. He is blind, but his heart is clear. I think his future achievements will surpass both of us. Lu Aotian looked at Qin Shi red face and spoke to help him out. Surpass both of us? Why do you say that? Qin Haoren asked with disdain. You will understand in the future. Lu Aotian didn't want to say too much. He turned to the crowd and said, since everyone is here, the meeting of heroes will begin now. If anyone has any questions about cultivation, feel free to voice them out. Everyone can solve them together and improve together. After all, we are all people of Owl Falling Star. We are bound together for good or ill. Don't let people from other stars look down on us. Lu Aotian said it casually, but everyone understood what he meant. There were outsiders around and it was not a good time for internal strife. He did not want to be looked down upon by Lu Ning. Lu Ning glanced at Yi Qinghan. When she heard the name Yi Qinghan, she was stunned. However, when she saw his cultivation level, a mocking smile appeared on her face. You think you're worthy of being called Yi Qinghan? Lu Ning scolded in disdain. Why can't I be called Yi Qinghan? Yi Qinghan stared at Lu Ning and asked with a hoarse voice. In short, you're not worthy. As for the reason, you don't deserve to know. How can someone like you participate in the meeting of heroes? I'm disappointed in Owl Falling Star's meeting of heroes. Lu Ning's face was full of disdain. She looked down on Yi Qinghan. Lu Aotian's face turned ugly. Lu Ning was not only humiliating Yi Qinghan, she was also humiliating him and the entire Owl Falling Star. Alright, since Lu Aotian invited him, it means that he has some ability. Whether he's qualified to participate in the meeting of heroes or not, we'll know in a while. Arguing is not beneficial to cultivation. Let the meeting of heroes begin. Ling Chen said coldly. He was after all the #1 person in the world. The moment he said that, the entire relay station quieted down. Even Lu Ning chose to remain silent, giving him some face. All family members, leave and go to the courtyard next door. Lu Aotian glanced at the female cultivators. He was very dignified and there was no room for discussion. The female cultivators were dissatisfied, but they did not dare to say anything. They could only retreat to the room next door. Emperor Qin hesitated for a while, but he did not make things difficult for Lu Aotian. He chose to leave the meeting of heroes. Lu Outyan waved his hand and a barrier appeared, sealing off this side of the courtyard. Some people started to get excited and were ready to show off their abilities. There were also some loose cultivators who had problems they could not solve on their path of cultivation. This was the best opportunity. After all, there was a king here. Ling Chen and the others would not be stingy with their guidance. Yi Qinghan casually found a seat and sat down, right across from Ying Feng. The two of them had a flash of light and then pretended not to know each other. Yi Qinghan kept a low profile and Ying Feng did not want to lose his prestige. No one would take the initiative to mention the battle that day. There were 73 people here, 72 elites of Owl Falling Star and Lu Ning. After a moment of silence, no one spoke. Do you all have any questions? Lu Outyan asked curiously. Everyone discussed softly for a while. Zhao Wuji was the first to stand up. His handsome face made him look like he was only 24 or 25 years old. However, he had become one of the top 3 young cultivators of Owl Falling Star. I am Zhao Wuji, a loose cultivator. I have a question that has troubled me for a long time. I hope to get an answer during this meeting of heroes. Brother Zhao, please ask. If I know, I will tell you everything I know. Lu Outyan quickly said. Friends, what is the Sea of Bitterness? What is the use of the Sea of Bitterness? I have cultivated bitterly for more than 10 years. Although I have overcome my heart devil and opened the Sea of Bitterness, I still do not understand what the Sea of Bitterness is and what is its use. How do I make use of it? Zhao Wuji's words were sonorous and forceful. Everyone was stunned. Everyone knew that the Sea of Bitterness was nothing more than a barren memory. It was a memory that was not willing to be mentioned by cultivators. Anything that was not beneficial to cultivation would be buried in the Sea of Bitterness. The bigger the Sea of Bitterness, the purer the cultivator's body and soul, and the stronger their battle strength. However, the Sea of Bitterness had never been exploited by anyone. It seemed that other than collecting trash, it had no other use. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. He looked at Zhao Wuji and nodded in his heart. To know how to exploit the Sea of Bitterness, it meant that he had a very thorough understanding of cultivation. The Sea of Bitterness was not a garbage collection station. It contained a terrifying power. The Sea of Bitterness connected with the soul. Together with the Sea of Qi, it allowed the cultivator's body to become a circulating soul. It allowed the cultivator's true yuan to flow endlessly. The speed of recovery would also be several times faster. More importantly, the Sea of Bitterness was originally divided into 2 small realms. From the 1st to the 5th star realm, one could turn all grief into the Sea of Bitterness and bury one's inner demons. It was known as the Bitter Transformation. From the 6th to the 9th star realm, the Sea of Bitterness could evolve into the universe and begin its own reincarnation. It was also known as the Sweet Sea. The Bitter Transformation and Sweet Sea realms were publicly known in ancient times. Everyone knew about it. However, with the changes of history, most people now thought that the Sea of Bitterness was to bury one's inner demons and was a garbage collection station. They did not know that when one reached the 5th star realm, one had to actively communicate with the Sea of Bitterness and observe the evolution and reincarnation of the universe. The Sweet Sea realm was not useful to those in the Grotto Heaven realm. Its true usefulness would only be revealed in the later stage of the Tao Sovereign realm. Some people could comprehend the Sweet Sea realm in time. When they reached the Tao Sovereign realm, they could comprehend the precepts, search for the great Tao and cultivate supernatural powers. Their battle strength would far surpass those of the same realm. The first sentence of the Divine Martial Imperial Code was that the Sea of Bitterness was the starting point of a cultivator. It was the boundary between humans and cultivators. If one did not cultivate the Sea of Bitterness, he would never be crowned as an emperor. The Divine Martial Imperial Code had such a high evaluation of the Sea of Bitterness. It showed how powerful the Sea of Bitterness was. It was a pity that people did not understand it. Everyone was silent for a long time, not knowing how to answer. Even Wang Shizhi and Ling Chen shook their heads. Finally, they looked at Lu Ning, hoping that she could explain. Lu Ning hesitated for a moment and said with a frown, according to some records, The sea of bitterness is the sea of bitterness. It is the destination of sins. Those who want to use the sea of bitterness will turn into demons and fall into hell forever. In the past 10,000 years, very few people have cultivated the sea of bitterness. Those who cultivate the sea of bitterness have all turned into demons. I advise you to focus on your cultivation and not think about taking shortcuts. This might be the fundamental reason why there has not been an emperor in the past 10,000 years. Zhao Wuji said in a deep voice. He did not believe that the sea of bitterness was a place to seal one's inner demons. Ridiculous. 300 years ago, the number one genius of the Shaolong region, Lei Chen, did not listen to my advice and insisted on cultivating the sea of bitterness. Unfortunately, after 100 years, he went completely crazy and was tortured by his inner demons. He disappeared without a trace. Are you stronger than Lei Chen? Lu Ning asked in disdain. Everyone was silent. Lu Ning was a member of a fifth-grade wealthy family after all. Her understanding of cultivation was much stronger than others. Even Ling Chen and Wang Shizhi were ashamed of their inferiority. No one dared to refute her words. Let's not talk about Senior Lei Chen. Let's talk about the number one genius of the sword principle in the Shaolong region, Senior Gu Qingyu. His sword principle is unparalleled and his Taoist heart is as stable as a rock. He has already entered the middle stage of the Tao Master realm. Even so, he does not dare to touch the inner demons in the depths of the sea of bitterness. Are you stronger than him? Lu Ning continued to question. Is the sea of bitterness only able to seal inner demons? Zhao Wuji was unwilling to give up and wanted to get other answers. Of course. The sea of bitterness has no end and is boundless. It is filled with inner demons. Not only are there inner demons of your own, there are also other inner demons. Even if you can overcome your own inner demons, can you overcome the inner demons sent by the heavenly axiom? Can you avoid being demonized by the endless evil spirits of hell? Lu Ning replied with certainty. The end of the sea of bitterness is chaos. If your Taoist heart is firm and you feel that you can resist the evil spirits of the world, why don't you go and see the chaos? Yi Qinghan calmly reminded. Everyone was stunned. The sea of bitterness had no end. As everyone knew, Yi Qinghan actually said that the end of the sea of bitterness was chaos. Was he trying to fool people? Extremely stupid. Have you been to the end of the sea of bitterness? Saying such words is irresponsible. Do you think the people in the world are easy to fool? The great clans of 5th grade and above clearly state that their members are not allowed to enter the sea of bitterness. Do you think someone like you is qualified to accept disciples? Ridiculous. Lu Ning sneered and mocked. That's right. Don't bother with this kind of person. He doesn't know anything and yet he pretends to know. This is the meeting of heroes, not a place for storytellers to fool a group of lowly people. If you don't know anything, then shut up. Don't expose your ignorance. Qin Haoren agreed. Words are meant for those who are fated. You don't have to listen. Yi Qinghan was disdainful. No matter how high these people's achievements were, it would be difficult for them to enter the Hall of Elegance. Lu Aotian, Zhao Wuji, and Ling Chen did not mock him. Their eyes flashed with a strange light as they stared at Yi Qinghan, hoping that he would give some convincing reasons. However, Yi Qinghan was not interested in arguing with them. This time, he only came to see the talents of Owl Fall Star and see who was worthy of his attention. Taoist Yi, you mean that the sea of bitterness can be used? Its function is not as simple as sealing inner demons? Zhao Wuji's eyes lit up. He finally got a different answer. He felt that he had found a like-minded Taoist. Chapter 73. The meeting of heroes was a place where people fought fiercely. Unless one had absolute battle strength and a respected status, anyone who showed their ability would be attacked by the crowd. Everyone looked at Yi Qinghan with disdain, wanting to see him embarrass himself. Zhao Wuji was looking forward to hearing Yi Qinghan's answer. Yi Qinghan did not disappoint him. He nodded and did not say anything more. Some people would give up if they could communicate with them. Don't talk while sitting? I want to see if you dare to enter the sea of bitterness and overcome the demons in your heart. Qin Haoran was disdainful, but thought to himself, if Qin Emperor cultivates with him, it might be beneficial to me. If Qin Emperor enters the Sea of Bitterness and becomes a demon, who in the Qin family can compete with me? Yi Qinghan shook his head, completely disappointed in Qin Haoran. Yi Qinghan, aren't you awesome? If you enter the Sea of Bitterness in front of everyone, we will protect you. No one will dare to disturb you. Haha, stop joking. This kind of person who has just entered the Sea of Bitterness probably does not know how big the Sea of Bitterness is. Everyone laughed wildly, losing the seriousness and pressure that the meeting of heroes should have. The Sea of Bitterness is divided into two small realms, Bitter Transformation and Sweet Sea. Only by entering the 5 stars of the Bitter Sea stage, which is the Sweet Sea stage, can one enter the Sea of Bitterness and search for the end of the Sea of Bitterness, observe the evolution of chaos, and understand the vastness of the universe. Yi Qinghan ignored everyone and muttered to himself, in the Bitter Sea stage, one's cultivation is the weakest, experience the least, and the demons in one's heart are the weakest. It is the most suitable time to enter the Sea of Bitterness. Otherwise, in the Grotto Heaven stage, the demons in one's heart will be 100 times stronger. Those who dare to enter the Sea of Bitterness will be 1 in 10,000. In the Tao Sovereign stage, even if 1 million people enter the Sea of Bitterness, it will be difficult for one to successfully reach the other side of the Sea of Bitterness. Zhao Wuji's aura flashed, and his aura increased sharply. A terrifying battle strength erupted, intimidating everyone. Even Lu Ning was shocked, thinking, this person's cultivation is so strong. To think that he is a loose cultivator. His talent is absolutely amazing. Thank you for your guidance, fellow Taoist. Can you tell me where these things come from? Zhao Wuji cupped his fists and asked in a deep voice. He had no choice but to be cautious when facing a life and death calamity. Yi Qinghan calmly replied, it stems from a firm Tao heart. It depends on how firm your dedication to the great Tao is. When the crowd saw that Yi Qinghan could not explain where he came from, their lips curled into a mocking smile. They thought that Yi Qinghan was just making excuses. However, Zhao Wuji wasn't discouraged. He just felt that Yi Qinghan wasn't in a position to say it, but he firmly believed that what he said was correct. The 3 powerful cultivators were silent. Lu Ning snorted disdainfully, causing everyone else to feel disdain. Yi Qinghan, since you say so, then it seems that your comprehension of the Bitter Sea stage is very deep. Then can you tell me how to make the greatest use of true yuan? The same amount of true yuan, but when used by different people, will produce different killing power. I want to know whether your killing power is stronger or our killing power is stronger. A young man arrogantly stood up, coldly looking at Yi Qinghan, issuing a challenge. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji immediately looked at Yi Qinghan, hoping that he could take out some decent evidence to make himself more convinced. Yi Qinghan slightly raised his eyebrows, looking at the young man. 5 stars of the Bitter Sea stage, with the aura of a king. However, it could be that the opponents he encountered were not strong enough, causing his mentality to change. But in Yi Qinghan's view, such a talent could not be considered a genius. His aptitude was very ordinary. Let me introduce. This is Han Dezhuang, the eldest son of the Han family of ancient Lulun. In the last elite competition, he rushed into the top 50, and is now a 5-star Bitter Sea expert. Lu Outyen indifferently reminded, hoping that Yi Qinghan would not underestimate him. He was the one who invited Yi Qinghan, and if he lost face today, it would not be good for his face. Han Dezhuang arrogantly looked down at Yi Qinghan, making a provocative gesture. Yi Qinghan indifferently smiled, leisurely standing up, and said to Han Dezhuang, the same amount of true yuan, but when used by different people, the killing power is clearly different, because everyone's strength and martial skills are different. In a situation where the martial skills are the same, it depends on the cultivator's understanding of the use of true yuan. Don't talk nonsense with me, you speak as if your understanding is better than mine. Let's use facts to speak. I will not bully you, I will control my realm to 2 stars of the Bitter Sea stage. You do not need to suppress it as long as you can block one of my punches, it will be my loss. Han Dezhuang coldly said. Ying Feng looked at Han Dazhuang's confidence and could not help but be speechless. His full-strength attack, Yi Qinghan could block it. Not to mention someone like Han Dazhuang. Alright, make your move. Yi Qinghan's fingertips lightly moved, very casually. Really arrogant, you actually want me to make the first move? Then I won't be polite. Han Dazhuang was enraged, his aura erupting. True Yuan wrapped around his fist, veins popping out all over his body, and he shouted, Wild Tiger Fist. Hua! Grade 3 martial skill. The moment he made his move, space rippled, and the friction between the fist and the air created a misty flame that could steal one's soul. It directly hit Yi Qinghan's chest. Han Dazhuang said that he had suppressed his realm to 2 stars of the Bitter Sea stage, but in reality he had only suppressed it to 3 stars. It was very obvious that he wanted to punch through Yi Qinghan's body. Kiki. Yi Qinghan's mouth revealed a trace of disdain. He clenched his iron fist, and his bones tightened, making a crisp sound. He did not even make any extra movements, and raised his fist to smash at the opponent. Boom! Gotcha! The speed of the two people's attacks was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, they collided. But what no one expected was that Han Dazhuang's strong body was like a weak woman. His iron arm was directly twisted out of shape, and the sound of his bones breaking was extremely ear-piercing. He was in so much pain that he roared towards the sky, screaming incessantly. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan twisted his body, and using the inch strike technique, he instantly exploded with twice the strength, and directly sent Han Dazhuang flying more than 10 meters away. The stone tiles on the ground were crushed by Han Dazhuang, but he did not stop his footsteps. Finally, he crashed into the barrier, and the powerful impact caused him to bleed from his 7 orifices. He directly spat out a large mouthful of essence blood. On the other hand, Yi Qinghan did not move at all. He was still in the same place, punching and retracting his fist, elegant and at ease. Only the corners of his clothes and hair were blown up by the energy, fluttering in the wind. Everyone was shocked and speechless. Although Han Dazhuang was not very strong, and did not even enter the top 40, he should not have lost so miserably. Yi Qinghan did not move at all. Just a casual punch was enough to make Han Dazhuang bleed from his 7 orifices and collapse on the ground. Apart from the top 10 of the elite ranking, who else could do such a thing? Everyone was silent for a long time. No one cared about Han Dazhuang's life or death, and no one took the initiative to provoke Yi Qinghan. Even Lu Ning slightly frowned, clearly surprised. Lu Outyin lightly shrugged his shoulders and walked towards Han Dazhuang. He saw Han Dazhuang lying on the ground, his body twisted, and blood spurting from his eyes. His throat seemed to be blocked by something, and he could not even scream. What was even more terrifying was that Han Dazhuang's right arm had completely changed shape. The bone had pierced out of his shoulder, and the eerie white bone had a trace of blood. This completely shocked Lu Outyin. Yi Qinghan did not use much Zhenyuan at all. An attack of pure physical strength was actually able to beat Han Dazhuang into such a miserable state. What a strong physical strength! I'm afraid his true battle strength is not inferior to mine. Lu Outyin squatted down and took out a healing dan from his universe ring and put it in Han Dazhuang's mouth. He found that it was not effective at all. Han Dazhuang was still trembling, and his body was twisted. He reached out and felt his pulse and could not help but tremble. Han Dazhuang's body was lacking in qi and blood. His life force had been shattered by a trace of Zhenyuan, and it was constantly dispersing. His qi was also shattered. Yi Qinghan's punch had already crippled him, and it was very likely that he would die here. Brother Qinghan's. After all, we were all invited by me. Can you give me some face and let him go this time? Lu Outyin was helpless. Even if Yi Qinghan's Zhenyuan was separated from his body, it was still not something he could control. If he forcefully suppressed Han Dazhuang's Zhenyuan, the 3 people's Zhenyuan would collide and cause Han Dazhuang's Zhenyuan to die. At this moment, Han Dazhuang's body was still being stirred up by Yi Qinghan's sharp Zhenyuan. It was as if his bones were being dismembered, and his face was contorted in pain. Even if he could survive, he would be living under Yi Qinghan's shadow. Lu Aotian pleaded for mercy, but Yi Qinghan did not say anything. He walked in front of Han Dezhuang and gently patted a few major acupuncture points on his body, dealing with the rampaging Jin Yuan in his body. He also released the qi that was sealed in his throat, and turned around to leave. Huff huff. Han Dezhuang gasped for breath and growled. His voice was a little hoarse, and his head was covered in sweat. He looked at Yi Qinghan's back, and his whole body trembled. His eyes were filled with fear. Zhao Wuji's eyes brightened, and with a smile, he took the initiative to say, "Brother Yi, please come here. We can talk." Ling Chen and Wang Shizhi also nodded, and let Yi Qinghan sit next to them. Everyone was even more jealous. The top three of the younger generation, 2 kings, actually thought highly of Yi Qinghan. Who could enjoy such an honor? Lu Ning stared at Yi Qinghan with a strange expression, but she did not think too highly of him. The geniuses of the Owl Fall Star were not worthy of her attention. Yi Qinghan, I see that you have some ability, but your cultivation is a little lacking. Let me test you. If you can satisfy me, I am willing to take you in as a servant. Lu Ning said indifferently. Yi Qinghan looked at Lu Ning, but his eyes were fixed on the willow leaf embroidery on her clothes. He was absent-minded, and Lu Ning was disdainful. Servant? You think you are worthy? Yi Qinghan clenched his fists, and his tone was filled with hostility. Back then, when he was strong, Lu Su followed him around like a dog, trying to curry favor with him. However, when the Yi clan was in trouble, that ingrate was crueler than anyone else, and he slaughtered hundreds of thousands of Yi clan disciples. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was determined to destroy the Lu clan. Ha! Lu Ning was startled. She thought that Yi Qinghan was drooling over her beauty, and that was why he was absent-minded. She did not think that he would be so hostile. I am not worthy to be your master? For trash like you, I can casually summon thousands of people with a wave of my hand. You think too highly of yourself. Don't think that you're a genius just because you defeated a piece of trash. In my eyes, you're nothing more than trash. Only your physical strength is a bit stronger. I didn't see any skill in your martial skill just now. Lu Ning was refuted. Her aura immediately turned cold, and she angrily scolded. Chapter 74. The meeting of heroes lasted for more than 4 hours. Everyone was conversing with each other. There were also some experts who humbly asked for guidance from the 2 kings. The atmosphere was very lively. Yi Qinghan, Zhao Wuji, Ling Chen and the others talked for a while and stopped talking. They listened to everyone's conversation. However, most of the experts did not come to the meeting of heroes to share their experiences but to make friends. Lu Aotian wandered through the crowd. Some maids brought a large amount of spirit fruits and wine. Everyone was divided into 8 tables and began to drink. Yi Qinghan glanced at Lu Ning and found that she was also looking at him. He could not help but think, did she discover something? This Lu Ning is the top expert of the Lu clan's younger generation. I cannot kill her for now. Otherwise, I will attract a large number of experts from the Lu clan and I will be exposed. Lu Ning was also thinking, this Yi Qinghan and the Yi Qinghan of the Battle Owl Star have the same name. Their temperaments are also similar. However, the difference in cultivation level is too big. There should not be any relationship. However, why does this Yi Qinghan hate me? Ling Chen and the others also noticed the strange attitude between Yi Qinghan and Lu Ning. However, they did not join in. Instead, they took the initiative to sit in the middle. They did not want Yi Qinghan and Lu Ning to have a conflict. Perhaps because Yi Qinghan belonged to the Owl Star, they did not want him to suffer. Yi Qinghan exchanged a few more words with Zhao Wuji and understood most of Zhao Wuji's identity. Yi Qinghan felt that he could make use of Zhao Wuji to help him deal with some matters that were inconvenient for him to deal with, so he helped Zhao Wuji solve some of his questions about martial arts. Zhao Wuji worshipped and respected Yi Qinghan even more. He would never have thought that the person in front of him was a great revered martial artist. To be able to receive a few words from Yi Qinghan was better than 10 years of bitter cultivation. Brother Ye's knowledge and understanding of the martial path makes me ashamed. If you encounter any difficulties on the Owl Star in the future, Just say the word. If I can do it, I will definitely not frown. Zhao Wuji cupped his fists and said. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and nodded. After interacting with Zhao Wuji for so long, Yi Qinghan had discovered that he was meticulous and intelligent. He was also incomparably firm on the martial path and could communicate with him. As for whether or not he could open his heart to him, Yi Qinghan would have to observe him for a while. Just when the meeting of heroes was at its most lively, a zither sound suddenly blasted through the void, penetrating the enchantment, causing everyone's blood and qi to burn. Everyone's pupils shrank as they looked outside the enchantment. The sound of the zither was filled with anger and violence, but there was also some kindness and no murderous intent. Rub? Yi Qinghan suddenly stood up and looked at the courtyard next door. He coldly said to Lu Outyen, "Open the barrier." Lu Outyen was shocked. He knew that the zither was played by Qin Shi Huang. He could hear the anger in the zither music. He thought, "Bastard, these women deserve to die. They actually bullied a child and angered this fierce wolf." Lu Outyen quickly opened the enchantment seal and looked at the courtyard next door that had turned into ruins. A group of peerless beauties were now in ragged clothes with dirt all over their faces. Yi Qinghan rushed out in a flash. He saw Qin Shi Huang hugging his zither and retreating to the side. There was a bloody handprint on his immature and flawless face. Yi Qinghan's eyes were burning with anger and killing intent. Kiki, Yi Qinghan clenched his fists tightly and arrived in front of Qin Shi Huang. Looking at the helpless Qin Shi Huang, his heart was filled with pity. "Master, they slapped my face. That's why I intervened." Qin Shi Huang pursed his lips and said with a pitiful voice. Yi Qinghan was angry and helpless at the same time. "You blind man! How dare you hit me? I will kill you today!" A voice roared out. Everyone looked up and saw a woman crawling out from the ruins of the house. Her clothes were ragged and she looked like a beggar. At the moment, she was looking at Qin Shi Huang furiously. She pulled out her sword and rushed over. "Kill him! This blind man can't be reasoned with." At the same time, more than 10 women in a sorry state pulled out their weapons and rushed toward Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi Huang. The killing intent in their eyes was self-evident. "Kill them. This is your master's order." Yi Qinghan's voice sounded like it came from hell. It was gloomy and terrifying, and it turned into ice and froze everyone. Yi Qinghan didn't like Qin Shi Huang's delicate and weak personality. He was like a little girl. How could he reach the peak with such talent and such a character? From today onwards, he had to cultivate him to be decisive in killing. There were some people and some things that didn't need to be tolerated. They could only be solved by killing. If you dare to hurt people, don't blame me for being impolite. Tang Chu took a step toward Yi Qinghan. He flipped his palm and a sharp 4th-grade spiritual sword appeared in his hand. "Qin Shi Huang, you trash. Who taught you how to sneak attack others?" Qin Haoren was furious. Not only did he not help his own brother, but he also claimed that Qin Shi Huang had sneakily attacked others without even knowing the situation. He even ignored the handprint on his face. "Everyone, please calm down. This is the Lulan relay station, not a battlefield. Let me understand the situation first. I will deal with it myself." Lu Outyen was incomparably dignified. His dragon qi erupted. His status as the empire's crown prince made the women stop in their tracks. They looked at Qin Shi Huang and Yi Qinghan angrily as if they were looking at dead people. Some of the elites behind these women stood out and stood side by side with Tang Chu. They looked at Yi Qinghan with hostility. Once the situation got out of hand, they would definitely attack Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi Huang. Yi Qinghan revealed a cruel smile. He turned to Lu Outyen and said, "Brother Outyen, if you can't give me an explanation for what happened today, then don't blame me for starting a massacre. But I will not be biased. Otherwise, where will the glory of my Lulan Empire go? Where will I, Lu Outyen, put my face? Since ancient times, no one has ever dared to cause trouble in the meeting of heroes. This is my first meeting of heroes, and it's really a joke." Lu Outyen's eyes flashed with a cold flame. He glanced at the women. He understood that today's matter was definitely not started by Qin Shi Huang. Qin Shi Huang had a weak personality. He definitely couldn't help but make a move. Tangju come back. Today's matter must be handled according to the rules. No one is allowed to be biased. If Xiao Yu and the others are at fault, then you can't stop Brother Lu from punishing them. Otherwise, if you think you can bully others with your numbers, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Zhao Wuji suddenly stood up and said coldly. Zhao Wuji chose to side with Yi Qinghan. Obviously, he chose to help Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and coldly looked at the crowd. Finally, his eyes locked onto Qin Haoren. There was no need to hide his killing intent. Qin Haoren, which eye of yours saw my son sneak attacking others? You better give me an explanation today. Otherwise, don't blame me for killing you. Yi Qinghan coldly asked. What a joke. How could I, as his older brother, not know the ability of this trash Qin Shi Huang? If he didn't sneak attack others, how could he put Xiao Yu and the others in such a difficult situation? Qin Haoren disdainfully mocked. You're courting death. Yi Qinghan was furious. He didn't need this so-called older brother. Qin Shi Huang was one of his people. He definitely wouldn't allow others to bully him. Boom, Yi Qinghan twisted the ground with the tip of his foot. The ground shattered. His fist turned into a thunderbolt and fiercely smashed towards Qin Haoren. Qin Haoren was shocked. He couldn't dodge Yi Qinghan's attack at such a close distance. He could only erupt with his strongest combat strength. His True Yuan poured out. The majestic True Yuan attached to his fist and fiercely collided with Yi Qinghan's fist. Yi Qinghan twisted his waist and fiercely rotated his fist. In an instant, he exploded with 10 times the strength. The sharp True Yuan was like a lightning bolt that could destroy anything. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, how could Qin Haoren's body be Yi Qinghan's opponent? In such a hurry, he didn't even use half of his strength. He was directly sent flying by Yi Qinghan's fist. Qin Haoren only felt a sharp pain in his right arm. Flesh and blood splattered on his fist, revealing the blood and bones. He retreated more than 10 steps and crashed into the wall, kneeling on the ground. You bastard! You actually sneak attacked me. As expected, a great master produces a great disciple. You only know how to sneak attack? Qin Haoren's face was pale. He half knelt on the ground. His right arm was twisted. Blood continuously dripped down, wetting the ground. Tang Chu and the others ridiculed. Yi Qinghan didn't declare a battle and launched a sneak attack. There was no need to investigate. It was obvious that Qin Shi Huang took the initiative to launch a sneak attack. That was why all the female cultivators were in such a difficult situation. Is that so? I only know how to launch sneak attacks. Then I will launch a sneak attack once. I will let you understand what a sneak attack is. Yi Qinghan sneered. Just as he was about to attack, he saw Lu Outyan standing between the two of them. Lu Outyan's expression was very ugly. Brother Yi, can you allow me to handle this? Lu Outyan suppressed his anger. He could explode at any time. Lu Ning looked at the so-called meeting of heroes. She couldn't help but sneer. Everyone saw it. However, she pushed all the blame onto Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi Huang. She thought that the two of them made Owl Falling Star lose face. Get out of the meeting of heroes. Fuck, you only know how to launch sneak attacks. What kind of elite are you? That's right. Prince, Ancient Sword King, Owl Falling Star King, you want to change the atmosphere of our Owl Falling Stars heroes. How can this kind of people be qualified to participate in the meeting of heroes? Qin Haoren and Tang Chu's friends spoke out one after another. They blamed Yi Qinghan together. Shut up all of you. Ling Chen slammed his palm on the table. The sandalwood table shattered, turning into fine powder. Qi spread out in all directions. The aura of a king shrouded, controlling the atmosphere of the entire relay station. Everyone no longer said anything. The atmosphere was extremely oppressive. Only Lu Ning revealed a faint mocking expression. This made the people of Owl Falling Star feel even more disgusted with Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi Huang. Qin Shi Huang, tell me, why did you suddenly attack? Lu Outyan looked at the 5-finger mark on Qin Shi Huang's face. He was extremely angry and asked coldly. They forced me to drink wine. I didn't drink, so they suddenly slapped me. They wanted me to kneel down. That's why I attacked. Qin Shi Huang hugged his zither tightly and retreated to Yi Qinghan's side. It seemed that only the zither and Yi Qinghan could give him a sense of security. Xiao Yu, is what he said true? You girls in your 20s, with the cultivation of the bitter sea stage and above, actually bullied a 13-year-old child. And he can't even see. Has your Dao heart been eaten by dogs? Lu Outyan angrily berated. He did not show any favoritism because of the family behind them. Brother Lu, isn't it a bit biased to believe one person's words? Can Qin Shi Huang's words be completely trusted? Why don't you ask Xiao Yu and the others what the real situation is? Xian Wuyu indifferently said. Yi Qinghan was indifferent and did not say anything. Seeing Xian Wuyu and the others deliberately showing favoritism to these girls, he clenched his fists. He was prepared to use his own method to resolve this matter. Chapter 75. Xiao Yu and the other female cultivators were scared out of their wits by Lu Outyan's aura. Their faces were pale, but when they saw Xian Wuyu, Tang Chu and the others working together, they immediately became fearless and glared at Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi Huang. This blind man doesn't know what's good for him. We saw that he was still a child and gave him some spirit wine. Not only did he not appreciate it, he even insulted us. I couldn't help but teach him a lesson. I didn't expect him to sneak attack us. Xiao Yu complained first, pushing all the blame to Qin Shi Huang. That's right, we can testify for Sister Xiao Yu. The rest of the female cultivators echoed, confirming Qin Shi Huang's crime. I didn't. You didn't give me spirit wine at all, it was turbid wine. You were talking behind my back, trying to embarrass me. I heard it all. Master, I didn't lie. Qin Shi Huang clenched his teeth and said, Hee hee, this is really fun. I didn't expect the meeting of heroes to be like this. Lu Ning sneered, making Lu Outyan and the others even more unsightly. The atmosphere in the relay station became extremely oppressive. Yi Qinghan's aura was extremely cold. If Qin Shi Huang's words couldn't be trusted, then no one in the entire universe could. Zither Immortal Crimson Demon Physique had an extremely high requirement for the purity of one's soul. Xiao Yu relied on her family and Tang Chu's support to be arrogant. With the cooperation of the other female cultivators, she was confident that Lu Outyan couldn't do anything to her. She even wanted to punish Qin Shi Huang and Yi Qinghan to vent their anger. You really think I can't find out who's lying? This is the meeting of heroes, it won't be conducted according to the Empire's laws. If you're lying, you better admit it now. Otherwise, when I find out, your family won't be able to protect you. Lu Outyan was incomparably angry. He coldly glanced at the female cultivators. He found that many of them didn't care and stood to the side. They didn't want to offend Tang Chu and Xiao Yu. If they didn't testify for them, then they wouldn't be able to testify for Qin Shi Huang. It started to drizzle, but no one dared to use Jin Yuan to protect their body, letting the rain fall on their body. Lu Ning leaned back in her chair and supported her head with her right hand. She looked down at everyone and the smile on her face was unbearable for the people of Owl Falling Star. Let me ask you one thing. Who dares to lie to me? Even if your ancestors come, they won't be able to protect you. Ling Chen looked down at the crowd. His sharp gaze seemed to be able to see through their souls. Xiao Yu's body trembled. She couldn't help but look at Tang Chu. However, she received a nod from Tang Chu, which made her even more confident. Who started the conflict between the Qin Emperor and Xiao Yu? Ling Chen's aura exploded as he coldly scolded. It's Emperor Qin. Xiao Yu and the others paused for a moment. Looking at the resolute gazes of Tang Chu, Xian Wu and the others, they pointed at Qin Shi Huang in unison. Qin Shi Huang, what do you have to say? Ling Chen asked coldly. I'm not lying. It was these people who teamed up to mess with me, Qin Huang replied. Good. Since all of you have your own opinions, it means that one of you is determined to lie to me and doesn't put me, Zero Chen, in your eyes. Ling Chen laughed evilly. His fingertip trembled and a broken dragon blade appeared in his hand. It emitted a cold aura that intimidated everyone. Yi Qinghan was still indifferent. Since Ling Chen and Lu Outyan wanted to find out the truth, he was naturally happy that he didn't have to do anything himself. Furthermore, he believed that the Qin emperor wasn't wrong. Let them investigate first. If they couldn't find anything, then he would have to do something himself. Xiao Yu and the others were terrified, but they still pretended as if nothing had happened. However, they couldn't escape the eyes of Yi Qinghan, Ling Chen and the others. I promise, whoever is willing to tell the truth today, I will take her as my personal maid. Absolutely no one will dare to take revenge on you or the family behind you. I will even support the family behind you. Ling Chen made a promise that made countless women on the Owl Falling Star go crazy. It shocked many of them. Xiao Yu's face turned pale. She noticed that some people were starting to get restless. She couldn't help but look at Tang Chu. Tang Chu glanced at everyone. His eyes flickered as he signaled some people to control the women behind them and stop talking nonsense. Wu Yu was also exerting pressure. Even Qin Haoran didn't want to help the Qin emperor. He couldn't wait to kill the Qin emperor this time. Wu Yu, Tang Chu, and the others were powerful. Together with Qin Haoran and the others, they were enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with Ling Chen. For a moment, none of the female cultivators dared to talk nonsense. Moreover, only a few of them knew the truth. After all, it was a small group of people who came up with the idea to trick the Qin emperor. Ling Chen and Lu Outyin didn't expect such a result. They both took out their weapons and looked down at everyone, emitting a terrifying aura. There is a kind of heart demon in this world. It can trigger the deepest memories in the sea of bitterness and make people tell the truth in front of everyone. It is called the sincerity heart demon. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse. He looked down at Xiao Yu and said in a low voice, "And I can trigger your heart demon and make you tell the truth." What a joke! Who are you trying to scare? If you have the ability, show me your heart demon. Wu Yu sneered. He stood between Yi Qinghan and Xiao Yu, not allowing Yi Qinghan to get close to them. No matter how powerful he was, he couldn't use it. Yi Qinghan, as his master, you didn't teach your disciple a lesson when he made a mistake. Instead, you blamed Xiao Yu and the others. Xiao Yu alone can lie, but can these dozens of female cultivators also lie? Tang Chu asked coldly. Yi Qinghan sneered. He tried his best to control his emotions. He didn't want to expose the existence of the heavy berserk blade in front of Lu Ning, but summoned the blood thorn. Master, I can make them tell the truth. The Qin emperor hugged his zither tightly, afraid that Yi Qinghan would get into a conflict with the others and be beaten up. Xiao Yu and the others laughed. A 13-year-old child, and in the blood ignition realm. Can he make these bitter sea stage people tell the truth? Can he control them? Try it first. If it doesn't work, I won't let anyone bully you. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Don't be so soft and weak in the future. Some people have to be killed. Do you understand? Oh, I understand. The Qin emperor was encouraged. His face was red and he was excited. In this world, there was finally someone who could protect him unconditionally. Even his grandfather Qin Ying would ignore his thoughts because of the Qin family. Tang Chu, back off. Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving you face. Ling Chen said coldly. Lu Outyin and Zhao Wuji stood out at the same time, exerting pressure. Tang Chu and the others immediately felt threatened. They didn't want to fall out with Ling Chen and the others, so they could only back off to the side. However, they were always on guard against Yi Qinghan. If Yi Qinghan dared to attack, they would definitely attack. The Qin emperor's tender and delicate body didn't care about the ground at all. He sat cross-legged on the ground and spread out his zither. His 5 jade-like fingers gently plucked the strings. The sound of nature moved people's souls. Lu Ning's body suddenly sat up straight, staring at the Qin emperor. Her eyes were filled with shock and joy. Hum hum hum. The soul-stirring sound of the zither was like the sound of nature, attacking everyone's souls directly. Some people with unstable Dao hearts lost their defense and completely lost control. These elites' expressions changed as they tried their best to resist the invasion of the zither sound. Tang Chu even shouted, causing Xiao Yu and the others to stagger and almost fall down. Tang Chu, do you want to fight with me? Ling Chen threatened. Tang Chu's expression changed and he didn't say anything. If Xiao Yu and the others still couldn't resist the attack of the Qin emperor's zither sound, they would have to give up. Buzz buzz buzz, the melody was melodious and charming. The Qin Emperor was like a zither fairy. His tender face revealed a dignified aura that couldn't be blasphemed. The zither sound was pure and holy, purifying all evil. Xiao Yu and the others were sweating profusely as they clenched their teeth and resisted. Alcade evil-suppressing zither song. Isn't this the famous song of the ancient zither emperor, the incomplete emperor? It has been lost for a long time. How can this little guy play it? Why does he sound like a girl? Lu Ning's pupils contracted slightly as she gazed at the side of the Qin emperor's face. It was pure white and flawless. He was wearing a tight purple battle robe. He was about 160 centimeters tall. The hair on his temples reached his shoulders and swayed in the wind. The Qin emperor's 5 fingers plucked the zither faster and faster, attacking the souls of the female practitioners. The sweat on his forehead soaked his black hair and dripped onto his clothes. Yet, he still clenched his teeth and resisted. Break them one by one. Yi Qinghan couldn't help but remind with a frown when he saw the Qin emperor attacking so many people at the same time. The Qin emperor's eyes brightened. The melody changed abruptly and became more vigorous. It turned into a forceful melody and attacked a weaker female practitioner beside Xiao Yu. The female practitioner was attacked by the Qin emperor alone. The defense of her Dao heart was broken, and her soul collapsed instantly. No. I was wrong. I shouldn't have lied. The good-looking female practitioner retreated in fear with her hair disheveled. Buzz, the Qin emperor's 10 fingers burst out at the same time. A strange melody rushed towards the woman. The birthmark on his right palm burst out with golden light. Then, as the Qin emperor's true essence was exhausted and his soul was exhausted, he disappeared again. However, the woman didn't have it easy either. She retreated like a lunatic and kept scratching her ears and cheeks. She begged for mercy in fear as if she was frightened. Lu Outyin reached out and grabbed her. He asked coldly, "Did you target the Qin emperor and play tricks on him?" Sorry, I was wrong. It's all Xiao Yu and Han Meyer's fault. They were the ones who wanted to play tricks on the Qin emperor. We were just cooperating." The woman was terrified and tears flowed down her face. Xiao Yu and a disheveled woman beside her trembled. They shouted, "Blind, what evil method did you use to control her? She's not normal anymore. She's talking nonsense. She's obviously being controlled. Demonic arts. She learned such a vicious technique at such a young age to control people's hearts. If we don't enforce justice on behalf of the heavens, how can we face the living beings of the world?" Tang Chu scolded coldly. "Bastard! How can a trash like you appear in the Qin clan? You don't learn good things, but you learn these demonic arts from some dubious people. Today, I'm going to clean up the clan, so that you don't embarrass yourself again." Qin Haoren was furious. His right arm had recovered because of the spirit pill. He immediately said coldly, "No one thought that Tang Chu and the others would lie with their eyes wide open." At this point, they still wanted to throw dirty water at Yi Qinghan and the Qin emperor. "Ha!" Yi Qinghan laughed wildly. He looked at everyone coldly. He pulled up the soft and boneless Qin emperor and said coldly, "Master will tell you today. Since you can't reason with him, then use your fists to do the talking." You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.